Fake HOA cop banned Joey's skateboard. Grandpa's camera revenge goes viral. What's good, HOA Karen Files fam? Yo, buckle up for the most epic drama we've ever dropped on this channel. Picture this. Joey, a 13-year-old skateboarding prodigy from Maple Grove, Ohio, gets his board banned by the neighborhood's resident Karen, Diane Carver, and her shady fake HOA cop sidekick, Carl. Total buzzkill move. But hold up, Joey's grandpa, Walt, a 70-year-old Navy vet with zero chill and a knack for sniffing out crooks, says, "Not on my watch." Armed with his trusty security cameras, Walt turns this fight into an all-out war to bury Karen's scam empire once and for all. We're talking GoPro busts, glitter bombs, viral takedowns, and a showdown that hits 15 million views. Will Joey and Walt make Karen run for the hills and save Maple Grove? So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to join the rebellion against HOA tyrants. Grab your snacks, cause we're diving in deep. Maple Grove, Ohio, was a postcard-perfect suburb where kids played tag in cul-de-sacs and old-timers swapped war stories on porches. For Joey Thompson, 13, it was his skateboarding kingdom. His BMX board, a scratched-up treasure gifted by his grandpa Walt for his 10th birthday, was his pride and joy. Joey lived for the grind literally. Every afternoon after school, he'd hit the sidewalks, practicing ollies, kickflips, 360s, and grinds, dreaming of one day shredding at the X Games. His tricks drew crowds. Kids from the block high-fived him, and neighbors like Mr. Jenkins, 75, clapped from their lawns. "That boy's going places," Jenkins would shout, waving his cane. Even Mrs. Lopez, 62, who baked cookies for the kids, would peek out her window, smiling. "Keep it up, Joey," she'd call. Joey's passion for skating started young. At 8, he'd watch Tony Hawk videos on YouTube, mesmerized by the way Hawk soared through the air. Walt, a retired Navy vet who'd seen action in Vietnam, noticed Joey's obsession and bought him his first board. "You got grit, kid," Walt had said, ruffling Joey's hair. "That's what makes a champ." Since then, Joey had been unstoppable, turning Maple Grove sidewalks into his personal skate park. He'd even built a makeshift ramp in Walt's backyard, using old plywood and duct tape. Walt would sit on the porch, sipping coffee, watching Joey practice for hours. "You're a natural," he'd say, his voice gruff but proud. But not everyone was a fan. Diane Carver, aka Karen, was Maple Grove's unofficial dictator. With her overdone perm, fake Gucci shades, and a clipboard she waved like a scepter, Karen had made it her mission to clean up the neighborhood. She'd fine people for unmowed lawns, $50, ugly mailboxes, $75, or kids playing too loud, $100. Most neighbors grumbled, but paid up to avoid her wrath. Karen lived in a McMansion at the end of Oak Street, with a pristine lawn she watered twice a day and a no trespassing sign that screamed, "Stay away." She'd been a thorn in Maple Grove's side for years, but no one had the guts to stand up to her until now. It all went down on a sunny Saturday in June 2023. Joey was in the zone, nailing a heel flip over a curb near the park. The sun was high, the air smelled of fresh-cut grass, and a few kids from school were watching, cheering him on. Screech. Karen stormed out of her McMansion, her voice like a car alarm cutting through the summer breeze. "You little delinquent," she shrieked, jabbing her clipboard at Joey. "Your skateboard's a menace to this community. It's banned, effective immediately." Joey, sweaty and stunned, gripped his board tight. "Ma'am, I'm on the sidewalk. I'm not breaking anything." Karen snapped her fingers like a wannabe mob boss. Out came Carl, a pot-bellied guy in a cheap HOA security vest that looked like it came from a Halloween clearance bin. His boots clomped on the pavement, and his gut jiggled as he marched over. "Hand over the board, kid," Carl growled, cracking his knuckles like a B-movie thug. Joey backed up, heart pounding in his chest. He wasn't just scared, he was pissed. This board was his life, his dream. He glanced at the kids watching, their eyes wide, and felt a surge of defiance. "No way," he said, his voice shaky but firm. From his porch, Walt, 70, in a faded navy cap and a "don't mess with me" glare, saw the whole thing. He'd been polishing his old service medals, a Saturday ritual, when he heard Karen's voice. Walt dropped the medals, grabbed his cane, and marched over, his boots thumping the pavement. "Hey, lady," he roared, his voice carrying the weight of 30 years in the military. "You got no right to harass my grandson." The neighbors, now peeking from windows and stepping onto their lawns, started whispering. Jenkins hobbled over, leaning on his walker. "What's she on about now?" he muttered to Mrs. Lopez, who'd come out with a plate of cookies. Karen smirked, tossing her hair like she was on a reality TV show. "Old man, this is HOA turf. My rules, my way." Walt's face went red, his grip tightening on his cane. "HOA? I've lived here since '93, lady. Ain't no HOA in Maple Grove." The crowd grew. Mrs. Lopez, Jenkins, Tim the mechanic, even the teenage twins from down the street. They murmured in agreement. "He's right," Tim said, wiping grease off his hands. "I've been here 15 years. Never heard of an HOA." Joey, quick on his feet, flipped on his GoPro helmet cam, catching every second of Karen's tirade, her finger jabbing, Carl looming, the clipboard waving like a weapon. "This is going online," Joey muttered, his hands trembling but determined. He'd seen enough YouTube drama channels to know this was gold. Karen, oblivious to the camera, kept going. "You're a menace, kid. You and that board are done." Carl stepped closer, his shadow falling over Joey. "Last chance, punk," he sneered. Walt planted himself between Joey and Carl, his eyes blazing. "You touch him, you're dealing with me," he growled. Carl hesitated. Walt might be 70, but he had the kind of stare that could stop a charging bull. Karen, unfazed, laughed. "You're out of your league, Grandpa. This is my neighborhood now." The crowd gasped. Mrs. Lopez dropped her cookie plate, the shattering porcelain echoing. Jenkins shook his head. "She's gone too far," he whispered. That night, Joey, Walt, and Joey's mom, Sarah, a nurse who'd just pulled a 12-hour shift, huddled around the kitchen table. Sarah, still in her scrubs, watched the GoPro clip, her face a mix of exhaustion and fury. "She's bullying my kid," she said, slamming her coffee mug down. Joey uploaded the clip to the Maple Grove Facebook group, titled, "Who's This Karen?" The post blew up overnight. 500 likes, 120 comments. "We don't have an HOA," wrote Mrs. Lopez. "She fined me for my roses last month," added Jenkins. "I paid her $200 for my truck parked on the street." Tim chimed in. Walt sipped his coffee, a slow grin spreading across his face. "Good job, kid. Let's turn up the heat." Sarah nodded, her eyes fierce. "Nobody messes with my son." Karen didn't back down. By Monday morning, every mailbox in Maple Grove had a flyer. Maple Grove HOA. Mandatory $75 per month safety fees to keep our streets free of delinquents like skateboarders. The fine print was chilling. Non-payment meant fines up to $500 or eviction proceedings. Walt, who'd sniffed out scams in his Navy days, wasn't buying it. "This is straight-up extortion," he told Joey, digging through a dusty box of property deeds in the attic. Walt had bought his house in 1993, a modest two-story with a wraparound porch, and he'd kept every document. After an hour of searching, he found the original deed, no mention of an HOA anywhere. "See," he said, waving the paper at Joey. "She's a liar." At a family dinner that night, Sarah slammed the flyer on the table, her hands shaking. "She's targeting Joey 'cause he's an easy mark." Joey, still stinging from the park showdown, stared at the flyer. He'd spent the day in his room, watching the Facebook group explode with comments, but he felt helpless. "She's not stopping," he said, his voice small. Sarah pulled him into a hug. "We'll stop her, baby." Walt, flipping through the deed, looked up. "We need proof. Hard proof." Joey had a light bulb moment. "Grandpa, what about your security cameras? We could catch her." Walt's eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas. "Kid, you're a damn genius." Walt's cameras were relics from the 1990s, installed after a break-in scare when Sarah was a teenager. They were built like tanks, grainy but tough. Joey, who'd learned wiring from YouTube tutorials, helped Walt rewire them over the next 2 days. They upgraded the system with night vision, motion sensors, and hidden micros, using spare parts from Joey's drone building kit, a hobby he'd picked up last year. They set up 5 cameras, one in the garage, one in a birdhouse, one disguised as a porch light, one in a fake mailbox, and one hidden in Walt's old Navy flagpole. It took 3 nights, but the cameras hit the jackpot. At 2 a.m. on Thursday, Karen and Carl met in a dark alley behind her McMansion, splitting a fat stack of cash under the glow of a street lamp. "That skate kid's trouble," Karen hissed. counting out $500 in 20s. He's got the whole neighborhood riled up. Keep him off the streets, Carl, or we're screwed. Carl pocketed his cut, nodding like a loyal dog. I'll scare him good, he said, cracking his knuckles again. Karen smirked. Good. And make sure Jenkins pays up he's late on his fine. Joey, Walt, and Sarah watched the footage the next morning, huddled around Walt's ancient laptop. Joey pumped his fist, nearly knocking over his cereal. We got her. Sarah's jaw dropped. They're stealing thousands. Walt, calm as ever, leaned back in his chair. Not for long. The footage was crystal clear. Karen's voice, Carl's threats, the cash changing hands. It was the kind of evidence that could bury them. But Karen was no rookie. On Friday afternoon, while Joey was at school, she spotted the birdhouse camera. She'd been snooping around Walt's property, pretending to inspect his lawn. What's this? She muttered, squinting at the birdhouse. She grabbed a garden gnome from Walt's flower bed, a gift from Sarah, and smashed the camera with a single swing. Crash! The lens shattered, and Karen cackled, tossing the wreckage onto Walt's porch. Think you're clever, old man? She taunted, flipping off the house before strutting back to her McMansion. Walt, who'd been napping, woke to the sound and found the broken camera. He called Joey and Sarah over, showing them the wreckage. Joey's heart sank. His big plan was trashed. She's gonna win, he said, kicking the gnome's broken head across the porch. Sarah hugged him tight. We're not out yet, baby. Walt, cool as ice, picked up the shattered camera. She's cocky. That's her downfall. He turned to Joey. We've still got 4 cameras. Let's use them. Sarah nodded. We need backup. Let's call Donna. Donna, 68, was a retired lawyer and Walt's poker buddy. She lived 3 houses down, in a cozy bungalow filled with law books and cat figurines. Over coffee that evening, Donna watched the footage, her glasses perched on her nose. This woman's a pro, she said, scribbling notes. She dug into Karen's past, a real estate scam in Toledo in 2015, where Karen had posed as a property manager, scamming tenants out of $20,000 in fake fees. She dodged jail on a technicality, but her name was mud in Ohio's legal circles. We've got video now, Donna said, sipping her coffee. But we need more. Let's take this to the neighbors. Walt grinned. Time to build an army. Walt, Joey, Sarah, and Donna hosted a secret meeting at Donna's house the following Saturday. They invited every neighbor they trusted, squeezing 30 people into Donna's living room. The air was thick with tension. Donna kicked things off, standing on a stool to be seen. Karen's no HOA president, she declared, holding up Walt's deed. There's no HOA in Maple Grove's records. The crowd gasped. Mr. Jenkins, 75, admitted he'd paid Karen $800 over the past year, thinking it was legit. I thought I had to, he said, his voice trembling. Mrs. Lopez, 62, fumed. She fined me $200 for my dog's barking. I paid, 'cause she threatened to call animal control. Tim, the mechanic down the street, spoke up. She threatened to tow my truck $300 to keep it off the street. I paid 'cause I couldn't afford to lose my ride. The room buzzed with anger. Even the teenage twins, Mia and Max, who ran a TikTok account, chimed in. She told us to stop filming in the park, said it was HOA property, Mia said, rolling her eyes. Max nodded. We paid her $50 to leave us alone. Sarah, standing by Joey, squeezed his shoulder. She's targeting kids 'cause they're easy marks, she said, her voice shaking with rage. Joey, clutching his skateboard, felt a fire ignite in his chest. He wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for everyone. Joey's cousin Dale, 18, a YouTuber with 5K subs, saw a gold mine. This is viral gold, he said, pulling out his phone. He filmed a recap of Karen's antics, splicing in Joey's GoPro clip with dramatic music he'd downloaded from a royalty-free site. Dale worked fast, editing the video on his laptop while the meeting went on. By the time the meeting ended, he'd uploaded it to his channel, titled Fake HOA Cop vs. Skate Kid. The video exploded, hitting 500K views in 48 hours. TikTok teens turned Karen's shriek into a sound effect. Karen yelled challenge, with thousands of users mimicking her voice. Karen, freaking out, posted a flyer on every lamppost. Ignore the lies. The HOA protects your property values. Delinquents like Joey are the real threat. Walt and Joey weren't done. They spent Sunday rebuilding their camera system, replacing the birdhouse camera with a new one, Maple Watcher, hidden in a fake rock. Joey, trolling like a pro, added a tiny speaker to the camera, playing Sweet Caroline, Karen's most hated song, on a low-volume loop. Walt chuckled as they installed it. "She'll lose her mind," he said. The camera caught gold again that night. Karen bribing Carl to intimidate Jenkins. "Shut that geezer up," she snapped, slipping Carl $400 in cash. Carl, grinning, said, "Easy money. I'll make him pay by tomorrow." The neighborhood meeting the following Friday was packed, 50 residents crammed into the community center. Walt took the mic, his navy cap tilted back. "Folks, we've been scammed." He fired up a projector, and the Maple Watcher footage played on a big screen. Karen's bribe, Carl's threats, the cash pile. The room lost it. "Arrest her," yelled Mrs. Lopez, slamming her fist on a table. Jenkins stood up, shaking. "I want my money back." Tim, the mechanic, shouted, "She's a crook." Karen, who'd been lurking in the back, tried to slip out, her heels clicking on the floor. But Carl, sweating buckets, panicked as the crowd turned on them. "It was all her," he blurted, pointing at Karen. "I just followed orders." The crowd surged forward, blocking the exit. Tim and Max grabbed Carl, holding him by the arms. "You're not going anywhere," Tim growled. Mrs. Lopez called the cops, her phone shaking in her hand. Karen, cornered, screamed, "You'll all regret this." But the neighbors weren't backing down. Mia and Max live-streamed the chaos on TikTok, their follower count skyrocketing to 10K in minutes. "Karen's done," Mia narrated, panning the camera to the furious crowd. Karen wasn't going down without a fight. She hired Vince, a sleazy lawyer with a bad toupee and a reputation for shady cases, to sue Joey, Walt, Sarah, and Donna for defamation, privacy invasion, and emotional distress. Vince strutted into the Maple Grove courthouse 2 weeks later, waving fake HOA bylaws like they were the Declaration of Independence. "My client, Ms. Carver, has been unjustly targeted," he bellowed, adjusting his tie. Karen sat behind him, dabbing fake tears with a tissue, playing the victim for the judge. But Donna was a beast. She'd spent the past week digging deeper into Karen's past, working late into the night with her cats curled up beside her. She uncovered more dirt. Karen's Toledo scam in 2015 wasn't her only con. In 2018, she'd posed as a landlord in Cincinnati, scamming tenants out of $15,000 in fake maintenance fees. She'd dodged jail again, but the paper trail was damning. "Your Honor," Donna said, her voice steady, "Ms. Carver's a career criminal. She's defrauded communities across Ohio for a decade." She handed the judge a stack of documents, court records, victim statements, even a grainy photo of Karen from a Cincinnati news article, holding a fake lease. The Maple Watcher footage was the kill shot. Walt had copied the video onto a USB drive, and Donna played it for the court. Karen's bribe, Carl's threats, the cash pile, all in glorious 4K. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Judge Harper, watched with a stone-cold expression. When the video ended, she turned to Karen. "Ms. Carver, where's the HOA charter? Where's the $75,000 you collected from this neighborhood?" Karen stammered, her fake tears drying up fast. "I have the charter at home," she lied, her voice cracking. Vince jumped in. "Your Honor, my client's been slandered." But Judge Harper wasn't having it. "I'm not seeing any charter, but I'm seeing a lot of cash changing hands." Case dismissed. "Ms. Carver, you're ordered to repay $25,000 in stolen fees to Maple Grove residents, plus court costs." The courtroom erupted in cheers. Jenkins pumped his fist, nearly dropping his walker. Mrs. Lopez hugged Sarah, tears in her eyes. Joey, sitting between Walt and Sarah, grinned so wide his cheeks hurt. Walt patted his shoulder. "We got her, kid." But Karen wasn't done. As she stormed out of the courthouse, she glared at Joey. "This isn't over," she hissed, her heels clicking on the marble floor. Back in Maple Grove, Joey was back on his board, filming tricks with Dale for their YouTube channel. Their latest video, a promo for the local skate park, raised $7,000 for charity, thanks to the viral attention from Karen's takedown. Dale's channel had grown to 15K subs, and he credited Joey. "You're the star, bro," he said, ruffling Joey's hair. But Karen, cornered and desperate, wasn't ready to quit. She hired a thug named Jimmy, a tatted-up ex-con with a rap sheet longer than Maple Grove's Main Street, to smash Walt's cameras. "Make it quick," she told him over a burner phone, her voice dripping with venom. "I want that old man to suffer." Walt, always 10 steps ahead, had a feeling Karen would pull something. He'd rigged a decoy camera in the fake mailbox, this time with a glitter bomb he'd ordered off Amazon. Jimmy, sneaking into Walt's yard at midnight, found the mailbox camera and smashed it with a crowbar. Boom. The glitter bomb exploded, dousing him in pink and gold sparkles. Jimmy screamed, stumbling back, his face a shimmering mess. Neighbors, woken by the noise, flipped on their lights and started filming. Mrs. Lopez, in her nightgown, laughed so hard she dropped her phone. Tim shouted, "Gotcha, punk," as he called the cops. Dale, who'd been editing late, heard the commotion and ran out with his camera. He caught the whole thing on film. Jimmy, covered in glitter, tripping over Walt's flower bed as he tried to flee. Dale uploaded the video to his channel the next morning, titled Glitter Bomb OWNS Karen's Goon. It hit 3 million views in 24 hours, with comments flooding in. "Karen's done for. Glitter justice. Maple Grove rules." Karen, watching the video from her McMansion, threw her phone across the room, shattering a vase. The glitter bomb video skyrocketed to 15 million views on HOA Karen files, making Joey and Walt Maple Grove legends. Cops arrested Jimmy on the spot, and he ratted out Karen faster than you can say glitter. A raid on Karen's McMansion the next day uncovered a treasure trove of evidence. Fake HOA contracts, $40,000 in cash stashed in a safe, and a burner phone with texts to Jimmy. Carl, already in custody after the neighborhood meeting, cut a plea deal, spilling everything. He got 6 months for conspiracy. Karen, the mastermind, faced 7 years for fraud, extortion, vandalism, and conspiracy to commit a felony. Maple Grove threw the ultimate skate party to celebrate. The community park was packed 100 residents, kids, and even a few out-of-towners who'd seen the viral videos. Joey led a trick demo, landing a 360 heel flip that had the crowd screaming. He'd spent the past week practicing, determined to make the party epic. Kids swarmed him after, asking for tips. "Just keep skating," Joey told them, grinning. Walt, in his Navy cap, raised an American flag on a pole he'd set up in the park. "This one's for you, Joey," he said, his voice cracking with pride. Sarah, free from Karen's shadow, danced with Donna to a playlist of 80s hits. Mrs. Lopez brought cookies, Jenkins brought lemonade, and Tim fired up a grill, flipping burgers for everyone. The skate park, now fully funded with donations from Dale's videos, named a halfpipe Joey's Ramp. A local news crew showed up, interviewing Joey and Walt. "How's it feel to take down a scammer?" the reporter asked. Joey, holding his board, shrugged. "Pretty awesome." Walt chuckled. "She picked the wrong kid to mess with." The story aired on Channel 5 that night, racking up another 1 million views online. Maple Grove was officially famous for all the right reasons. Karen, utterly owned, sold her McMansion for half its value and fled to Florida. Ex-posts later claimed she was running a pyramid scheme, selling luxury sunscreen to tourists. "Same old Karen," Mrs. Lopez laughed, scrolling through her phone at the party. Joey's skate videos earned him a scholarship to a pro camp in California, set for next summer. Walt gifted him a custom board engraved with Maple Watcher, the camera that started it all. Dale's channel hit 50K subs, and he gave Joey a shout-out in every video. "This kid's why we're here," he'd say, pointing to Joey. Maple Grove was reborn, no fake HOAs, just neighbors grilling burgers, kids skating free, and a community that had each other's backs. The final HOA Karen Files video closed with Joey shredding under a golden sunset, the fake rock camera blinking like a proud sentinel. Walt's voice narrated the outro, "This is our home, and no Karen's taking it from us." The video ended with a montage, Joey's tricks, Walt raising the flag, Sarah hugging Joey, and the glitter bomb exploding in slow motion. The views kept climbing, and the comments poured in. "Best drama ever. Karen got what she deserved. Maple Grove forever." That's a wrap. HOA Karen Files fam. Joey and Grandpa Walt just dropped a 15 million view bomb on Karen and her fake HOA cop, turning Maple Grove into a scam-free zone. From GoPro busts to glitter traps, This 60-minute saga proves you don't mess with a skater and a Navy vet. They fought for their neighborhood, and they won big time. What was your favorite moment? Karen's gnome-smashing meltdown? The glitter bomb ownage that broke the internet? Spill it in the comments and share this video to spread the justice far and wide. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've got more Karen chaos on deck, and you don't want to miss it. Peace out, keep shredding, and let's keep the HOA Karen Files vibes alive. Subscribe and tell us, what's your dream Karen takedown? Let's make it viral, fam. Fake HOA cop ruined kids' magic show. Uncle's llama revenge goes viral. What's good, HOA Karen Files fam? Get ready for the wildest drama we've ever dropped on this channel. Picture this. Lucas, a 12-year-old magic prodigy in Maple Grove, Ohio, is hosting a backyard magic show for the neighborhood kids. Think rabbits, doves, top hats, the whole deal. But then, a fake HOA cop named Derek, decked out in a shady uniform with HOA slapped on the chest, storms in like he owns the place. This guy's a total lunatic. He smashes Lucas's magic props, scares the kids, and even lets the doves fly away. Lucas is heartbroken, but his Uncle Pete, a 50-year-old petting zoo owner with a flair for chaos, says, "Not today, pal." Pete unleashes his secret weapon, a real-life llama named Leroy, to get revenge on Derek, sparking a neighborhood rebellion that sends this fake HOA cop running for the hills. We're talking GoPro footage, a llama chase, viral takedowns, and a showdown that hits 25 million views. Will Lucas get his magic back and make Derek pay? Laughs and pure insanity. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to join the fight against HOA tyrants. Grab your popcorn, cause we're diving into the madness. Maple Grove, Ohio, was a sleepy suburb where summer meant kids playing in sprinklers, old-timers sipping iced tea on porches, and the occasional block party lighting up the neighborhood. For Lucas Bennett, 12, summer 2023 was all about magic. Lucas had been obsessed with magic since he was 6, when his Uncle Pete, a 50-year-old petting zoo owner, took him to a circus in Columbus. The magician there, Mr. Magnifico, pulled a rabbit out of a hat, and Lucas's eyes lit up like fireworks. From that day, Lucas practiced every trick he could find on YouTube, mastering card tricks, coin vanishes, and even a levitation act using a rigged table he built with his dad's tools. His dream? To perform at the Magic Castle in Hollywood one day. Lucas's magic shows were a Maple Grove tradition. Every summer, he'd set up in his backyard, turning it into a mini theater with a red curtain, an old bedsheet, folding chairs, and a table covered in glittery fabric. He'd saved up $200 from mowing lawns to buy props, a top hat, a wand, a rabbit named Houdini, and 2 doves named Abra and Kadabra. Neighborhood kids loved his shows. 20 of them showed up last year, cheering as Lucas made Houdini disappear and reappear in a box. Even the adults got a kick out of it. Mr. Thompson, 70, a retired teacher, always brought cookies and clapped the loudest. "You're a star, Lucas," he'd say, adjusting his glasses. Mrs. Carter, 65, who lived next door, would record the shows on her phone, sending them to her grandkids in Florida. "He's better than Vegas," she'd laugh. This year's show, planned for a sunny Saturday in July, was going to be Lucas's biggest yet. He'd spent weeks rehearsing a new finale, a dove explosion, where Abra and Kadabra would fly out of a box as confetti rained down. Lucas's dad, Tom, a 48-year-old electrician, helped him rig a confetti cannon using a leaf blower and glitter. Lucas's little sister, Emma, 8, was his assistant, wearing a sparkly cape and passing him props. The backyard was packed, 30 kids, 15 adults, and even a few dogs lounging in the grass. Lucas, in his top hat and a thrift store tuxedo, stepped onto his stage, his heart pounding with excitement. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, his voice cracking with nerves. "Welcome to Lucas's Magic Extravaganza." The show started strong. Lucas pulled a chain of handkerchiefs from his sleeve, making the kids giggle. He made Emma float, using his levitation table, earning gasps from the crowd. Houdini's disappearing act went off without a hitch. Lucas hid him in a secret compartment, then, magically, brought him back to cheers. But as he set up for the dove explosion, disaster struck. Screech. A golf cart screeched to a stop on the street. Out stepped Derek Malone, a 42-year-old bully who'd been terrorizing Maple Grove for months as the self-proclaimed HOA security chief. Derek wore a dark blue uniform that looked like a cop's, with HOA in bold white letters on the chest and a fake badge pinned crookedly to his shirt. His boots clomped as he marched into the backyard, his face red with fake authority. "What's this nonsense?" Derek barked, pointing at Lucas's setup. Lucas froze, his wand trembling in his hand. It's a magic show, sir," he stammered, his top hat slipping over his eyes. Derek sneered, adjusting his badge. "This is an illegal gathering. No HOA permit, no approval." Lucas blinked, confused. "But it's my backyard." The crowd murmured. Mr. Thompson stood up, frowning. "What HOA? We don't have one." Mrs. Carter clutched her phone, filming the whole thing. Derek didn't care. He grabbed Lucas's table, flipping it over with a crash. The confetti cannon fell, spraying glitter everywhere. Houdini's cage tipped over, the door popping open. Lucas lunged to grab him, but Derek kicked the cage away, sending Houdini hopping into the bushes. "No animals allowed," Derek yelled, snatching the dove box. He smashed it on the ground, and Abra and Kadabra flew out, their wings flapping as they soared into the sky. Lucas screamed, "My doves," as Emma burst into tears. The kids in the audience started crying, their parents shouting at Derek. "You're a monster," Mrs. Carter yelled, her hands shaking as she filmed. Mr. Thompson waved his cane. "Leave the boy alone." Tom, who'd been grabbing snacks from the kitchen, ran outside at the sound of the chaos. He saw Lucas on his knees, sobbing over his broken props, glitter stuck to his tear-streaked face. Derek was still there, writing a fine on a notepad. $300 for illegal assembly and animal violations, he said, tossing the paper at Tom. Tom's face turned red. "You ruined my son's show over a fake HOA? You're done." Lucas, clutching his broken wand, looked up at his dad. "He let my doves go, Dad," he hiccuped. Tom hugged him tight, his jaw clenched. "We'll get him back, buddy. And we'll make him pay." That night, Tom, Lucas, and Emma watched Mrs. Carter's video on the family laptop. The footage was gold. Derek's fake uniform, the table flip, the doves flying away, Lucas's tears. Tom uploaded it to the Maple Grove Facebook group, titled "Fake HOA Cop Ruins Kid's Magic Show." The post blew up, 800 likes, 200 comments. "He fined me for my cat," wrote Mrs. Carter. "There's no HOA here," added Thompson. Lucas, still in his tuxedo, wiped his eyes. "Can Uncle Pete help, Dad?" Tom grinned. "Oh, Pete's gonna love this." Derek wasn't just a bully. He was a con artist with a rap sheet. By Monday, every mailbox in Maple Grove had a flyer. Maple Grove HOA. Mandatory $60 per month community safety fees to protect our streets from unauthorized events. The fine print threatened fines up to $400 or legal action for non-payment. Tom, who dealt with shady contractors in his electrician career, knew a scam when he saw one. "This guy's extorting the whole neighborhood," he told Lucas, pulling out old property deeds from a filing cabinet. Sure enough, Maple Grove had no registered HOA. Derek was pocketing thousands. At dinner that night, Lucas pushed his spaghetti around his plate, his eyes red from crying. "He's gonna ruin everything, Dad," he said, thinking of Abra and Kadabra, still missing. Emma, still in her sparkly cape, hugged her brother. "We'll find your doves, Lucas." Tom nodded, his mind racing. "We need proof he's a fraud." Lucas had an idea. "What about Uncle Pete's zoo cameras? We could catch him." Tom's eyes lit up. "Kid, you're a genius." Uncle Pete, 50, ran a petting zoo on the edge of town, with goats, sheep, and his prized llama, Leroy, a 6-foot-tall spit machine with a knack for chaos. Pete had security cameras all over his property, installed after a fox tried to eat his chickens. Tom and Lucas drove over the next day, Lucas still clutching his broken wand. Pete, a burly guy in overalls with a straw hat, watched Mrs. Carter's video on his phone, his face turning red. "This clown messed with my nephew," he roared, slamming his fist on a hay bale. "I'm in." They spent the day setting up. Pete lent them 2 zoo cameras, which Tom rigged with night vision and motion sensors. Lucas helped wire a GoPro into a fake birdhouse, placing it near Derek's house, a McMansion with a no trespassing sign and a golf cart parked out front. They hid another camera in a fake rock near the alley where Derek often parked. That night, The cameras struck gold. At 2 a.m., Derek met a thug named Ricky in the alley, splitting a stack of cash. That magic kid's dad is trouble, Derek hissed, counting out $700. He's asking questions. Make him back off, Ricky. Ricky, a tattooed guy with a shaved head, grinned. I'll scare him good. Lucas, watching the footage with Tom and Pete the next morning, gasped. He's paying that guy to hurt you, Dad. Tom hugged him. He's not getting near us. But Derek was paranoid. On Wednesday, he spotted the birdhouse GoPro while patrolling in his golf cart. He smashed it with a crowbar, laughing as he tossed the pieces into Tom's yard. Nice try, magic boy, he shouted, flipping off the house. Lucas, watching from the window, felt his stomach drop. He's gonna win, Dad. Tom picked up the broken GoPro, his face calm but determined. He's cocky. That's his mistake. Tom called in Mrs. Carter, 65, a retired librarian who'd been digging into Derek's past. Over tea at her house, she shared what she'd found. Derek had run a scam in Cleveland in 2020, posing as a neighborhood safety officer and extorting $15,000 before skipping town. He's a pro, she warned, adjusting her glasses. But we've got video now. Tom nodded. Let's get the neighbors together. Tom, Lucas, Pete, and Mrs. Carter hosted a secret meeting at Mrs. Carter's house, squeezing 40 neighbors into her living room. The air was electric with anger. Mrs. Carter kicked things off. Derek's no HOA chief. He's a fraud. She held up Tom's deed. No HOA in Maple Grove's records. Mr. Thompson admitted he'd paid Derek $500, thinking it was legit. I thought I had to, he said, shaking. Mrs. Garcia, 60, fumed. He fined me $200 for my grandson's bike. The teenage twins, Mia and Max, who ran a TikTok account, spoke up. He shut down our dance party. $150 fine. Lucas's cousin Sophie, 17, a TikToker with 10K followers, saw viral potential. This is gonna blow up, she said, filming a recap with the GoPro footage. Her video, Fake HOA Cop Ruins Kids Magic Show, hit 2 million views in 48 hours. TikTok turned Derek's yell into a meme. Magic Kid Challenge. Derek, freaking out, posted a flyer. Ignore the lies. The HOA protects your community. Tom and Lucas upped the ante. They set up a new camera, Magic Watcher, hidden in a fake mailbox. Lucas, trolling like a pro, added a speaker playing It's a Small World, Derek's most hated song, on a low loop. The camera caught Derek bribing Ricky again. Make that magic family disappear, Derek snapped, handing over $600. Ricky grinned. They're done. At the next neighborhood meeting, Tom played the footage on a projector. The crowd lost it. Arrest him, yelled Mrs. Garcia. Derek, lurking in the back, tried to bolt, but Ricky, sweating, shouted, he made me do it. Neighbors blocked the door, calling the cops. Derek hired a sleazy lawyer, Marco, to sue Tom, Lucas, Pete, and Mrs. Carter for defamation and harassment. Marco waived fake HOA bylaws in court, but Mrs. Carter had the receipts, Derek's Cleveland rap sheet, showing 2 fraud charges. Your Honor, she said, he's a serial con artist. The Magic Watcher footage sealed it. Derek's bribes, Ricky's threats, the cash. The judge ordered Derek to repay $35,000 in stolen fees. The courtroom cheered. Back in Maple Grove, Lucas started searching for Abra and Kadabra, putting up Lost Dove flyers. Sophie's videos raised $3,000 to help Lucas rebuild his magic show. But Derek, desperate, hired a thug, Tony, to sabotage Pete's zoo. Pete, prepared, had a plan. He let Leroy the llama loose. Tony, trying to break into the zoo, got chased by Leroy, who spat green goo all over him. Neighbors filmed the chaos, and Sophie's video, Llama OWNS Fake Cops Goon, hit 6 million views. Derek tried a sob story flyer. I'm the victim. It flopped. Maple Grove turned it into memes. Cops found $70,000 in Derek's safe, linking him to the scam. Sophie's llama video hit 25 million views on HOA Karen files, making Lucas and Pete legends. Derek and Ricky were arrested for fraud, extortion, and vandalism. Derek got 9 years, Ricky 4. Maple Grove threw a magic party. Lucas performed his dove explosion, with new doves, Merlin, and Mystic, raising $4,000 for a magic camp scholarship. Pete brought Leroy, who became the star of the show. Mr. Thompson raised a flag, grinning. No more fake cops. Derek fled to Arizona after parole, where ex-posts claimed he was scamming again. Lucas's magic shows became a local hit, featured on Channel 5. Sophie's channel hit 150K subs, crediting Lucas. Maple Grove thrived. No fake HOAs, just kids playing free. The final video closed with Lucas pulling Houdini from his hat under a sunset, Leroy chewing grass nearby. "This is our home," Pete narrated. "And no fake cops talking it." That's a wrap. HOA Karen Files fam. Lucas and Uncle Pete just dropped a 25 million view bomb on fake HOA cop Derek, turning Maple Grove into a bully-free zone. From GoPro busts to a llama chase, this 60-minute saga proves you don't mess with a kid and his magic show. What was your favorite moment? Derek's magic show meltdown? Leroy's epic takedown? Spill it in the comments and share this video to spread the justice. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've got more HOA drama coming. Peace out, keep believing in magic, and let's keep the HOA Karen Files vibes alive. Fake HOA cop blocked my farm, didn't know my beehive was a trap. What's good, HOA Karen Files fam? Buckle up for the wildest, most epic drama we've ever dropped on this channel. It's a roller coaster you won't believe. Picture this. You wake up one morning to find your farm, your life's blood, sweat, and tears completely blocked off by a locked gate. No warning, no notice, just a smug fake HOA cop strutting around like he owns the place, saying it's HOA property now. That's exactly what happened to Nate, a 40-year-old beekeeper in Maple Grove, Ohio, 3 months ago. But here's the kicker. What they didn't know? Nate had been planning for this moment for years. That gate? Just a trap, and they walked right into it, unleashing a swarm of chaos they never saw coming. We're talking hidden cameras, a beehive trap that'll leave you buzzing, viral takedowns, drone chases, and a showdown that skyrockets to 30 million views. Will Nate save his farm and make the fake HOA cop pay for terrorizing his community? This saga's got drama, revenge, laughs, and a sting you'll never forget, so smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to join the fight against HOA tyrants. Where you watching from? Drop a comment, let's dive into the madness. Maple Grove, Ohio, was the kind of suburb where summer meant kids chasing fireflies, old-timers playing chess on porches, and the sweet hum of bees drifting through the air. For Nate Harper, 40, his 3-acre farm Harper's Hive was his sanctuary. After a decade as a cybersecurity analyst in Columbus, Nate had quit his soul-crushing tech job in 2018 to chase his passion, beekeeping. He'd turned his land into a honey empire, with 20 beehives producing golden, raw honey that sold out at every farmer's market. He also hosted school field trips, teaching kids about bees with a smoker and a net, and supplied honey to Maple Grove's bakery, where it was the star of their famous honey-glazed pastries. Nate's dream was bigger, though he wanted to start a mead-making business, opening a tasting room where locals could sip honey wine under string lights, surrounded by wildflower fields. "It'll be my legacy," he told his sister, Lily, 35, a local journalist with a knack for sniffing out trouble. "This farm's my everything." Harper's Hive bordered Maple Grove Estates, a gated community of million-dollar homes where the lawns were as manicured as the egos. The estates were run by a fake HOA, led by Karen Voss, a 55-year-old real estate mogul with dollar signs in her eyes. Karen had been eyeing Nate's land for years. Its rolling hills, babbling creek, and sunset views were perfect for her luxury spa retreat project, a deal that had net her $3 million in profits. She'd already secured investors, but there was one problem. Nate wasn't selling. "I don't care how much she offers," Nate told Lily over coffee at the Maple Grove diner, the steam from his mug fogging up his glasses. "This farm's my life. I'm not giving it up to some HOA tyrant." Lily, sipping her latte, frowned. "She's dangerous, Nate. I've heard stories people who cross her don't last long." The first sign of trouble came on a scorching Saturday in July 2023. Nate was in the middle of a field trip for Maple Grove Elementary, 15 kids in sun hats, giggling as he showed them how to use a smoker to calm the bees. "See, you puff a little smoke, and the bees think there's a fire," Nate explained, his voice warm. "They start eating honey to prepare to flee, and that keeps them calm." A girl named Ellie, 9, raised her hand. "Do bees ever get mad?" Nate chuckled. "Only if you mess with their hive. The kids laughed, their parents snapping photos. It was a perfect day until it wasn't. A golf cart screeched to a stop at the edge of Nate's property. Out stepped Carl Evans, a 48-year-old fake HOA cop who'd been Karen's enforcer for years. Carl was a walking red flag. Dark blue uniform with HOA in bold white letters on the chest, a fake badge pinned crookedly to his shirt, and a sneer that could curdle milk. He'd been terrorizing Maple Grove for months, handing out fake fines for everything from unapproved mailboxes to excessive grass height. Most folks paid up to avoid trouble, but whispers were growing. "Who made him king?" grumbled Mr. Daniels, 72, a retired mechanic, to Nate the week before. "There's no HOA here." Carl stomped over, his boots kicking up dust, his face red with fake authority. "What's this?" he barked, pointing at Nate's beehives like they were a crime scene. Nate, still holding the smoker, turned calmly. "It's a farm tour, sir. For the kids. They're learning about bees." Carl sneered, adjusting his badge. "This is an illegal operation. No HOA permit, no approval." Nate's brow furrowed. "I don't live in Maple Grove Estates. You've got no jurisdiction here." The kids went quiet, sensing the tension. Ellie clutched her mom's hand. Carl didn't care about facts. He grabbed Nate's smoker, tossing it to the ground with a clang, and kicked over a display table of honey jars Nate had set up for the parents. Glass shattered, honey oozing into the dirt like liquid gold. "Bees are a health hazard," Carl yelled, his voice booming across the farm. "You're done, bee-boy." The kids screamed, some bursting into tears as their parents rushed to scoop them up. Nate, his heart racing but his voice steady, ushered the group to safety behind the barn. "This is private property," he said, staring Carl down. "Leave. Now." Carl laughed, scribbling on a notepad. $500 fine for illegal farming and endangering kids. Pay up, or we'll shut you down for good. He tossed the paper at Nate's feet and drove off, leaving Nate standing in a puddle of honey, surrounded by broken jars and the echoes of crying children. That night, Nate sat in his kitchen, the glow of his laptop casting shadows on the walls. Lily was there, sipping tea, her journalist instincts on high alert. They watched security footage from a camera Nate had installed after a fox tried to raid his hives last year. It caught everything. Carl's fake uniform, the table smash, the kids' terror, even Carl's smug grin as he drove away. "This guy's a menace," Lily said, her voice tight. Nate uploaded the clip to the Maple Grove Facebook group, titled "Fake HOA Cop Wrecks Kids Farm Tour." The post exploded, 1,200 likes, 400 comments in hours. "He fined me for my garden," wrote Mrs. Ellis, 67, a retired schoolteacher. "There's no HOA here," added Mr. Daniels. "He threatened my dog," chimed in Mrs. Garcia, 62. The community was fired up, but Nate stayed calm. He turned to Lily, his jaw tight. "I've been ready for this." Lily raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean, ready?" Nate led her to his barn, where a locked cabinet held his secret weapon, a stack of old property deeds he'd found when he bought the farm in 2018. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a faded map. "There's a public access road hidden by overgrowth that leads to the back of my land. It's not on modern maps, but legally, it's still active. I've kept it quiet, knowing these Maple Grove Estates clowns might pull something like this." He grinned, a spark in his eye. "And that's not all. I've got a trap set at the main entrance." Lily's eyes widened. "A trap?" Nate nodded, pulling up blueprints on his laptop. "The main gate's a decoy rigged with cameras and sensors. If they try to block me out, I'll catch 'em in the act. And they're about to get stung in ways they never saw coming." Carl wasn't just a bully, he was the muscle for a full-blown con. By Monday, every mailbox in Maple Grove had a flyer. Maple Grove Estates HOA. Mandatory $70 per month safety fees to protect our community from hazards like bee infestations. The fine print was chilling. Fines up to $500 or property seizures for non-payment. Nate, who dealt with scammers in his cybersecurity days, smelled a rat. "They're extorting the whole town," he told Lily, digging through county records in his barn office. Sure enough, Maple Grove Estates had no registered HOA. Karen and Carl were pocketing thousands, and Nate's farm was their biggest target yet. Karen Voss, 55, wasn't just after Nate's land for her spa retreat, she had a personal vendetta. 10 years ago, her late father, a real estate tycoon, had owned Nate's plot but lost it in a bankruptcy deal. Karen saw it as her birthright, a piece of her family's legacy she'd vowed to reclaim. "That land's mine," she'd hissed to Carl over a martini at the estate's clubhouse, her nails tapping the glass. "I don't care what it takes, get that guy out." Carl, sipping a cheap beer, nodded. "He'll break. They always do." At dinner that night, Nate pushed his plate of spaghetti away, his appetite gone. "They're not stopping, Lil," he said, his voice low. "I caught Carl snooping around my property line yesterday, said he was inspecting for violations. He's looking for an excuse to shut me down." Lily, her journalist instincts buzzing, set down her fork. "Let's dig deeper. If they're running a scam, there's got to be a paper trail." She spent the next day at the county courthouse, pulling records with the help of her friend Clara, a 42-year-old clerk who owed her a favor. What they found was dynamite. Karen had run a similar scam in Dayton in 2018, posing as an HOA president and extorting $20,000 from homeowners before skipping town. Carl, her enforcer, had a rap sheet: assault, fraud, even a stint in jail for petty theft. "They're pros," Lily warned, handing Nate the files over coffee the next morning. "But we've got video of Carl wrecking your tour." "That's a start." Nate had more than a start, he had a plan. 5 years ago, when he'd found the hidden access road in the deeds, he'd started preparing for a day like this. He'd rigged his main entrance, a dirt path bordering the estates, with a decoy gate, equipped with 4K cameras, motion sensors, and even a fake beehive that doubled as a sensor hub. "If they try to block me out, I'll catch every move," Nate told Lily, showing her the setup on his laptop. "And I've already cleared the hidden road." Over the past month, Nate had hired a discreet crew led by his old high school buddy, Jake, 39, a landscaper, to cut through decades of overgrowth at night. The hidden road was now passable, a winding dirt path through the woods that led to the back of his farm. Nate had moved 5 beehives to the new entrance, keeping his operation running in secret. That night, the cameras struck gold. At 1 a.m., Carl met a thug named Vinny in an alley behind the estate's clubhouse, splitting a stack of cash under a flickering streetlight. "That be guy's trouble," Carl hissed, counting out $800 in crisp bills. "He's asking questions, rallying the neighbors." "Shut him down, Vinny." Vinny, a hulking 45-year-old with a scar across his cheek, cracked his knuckles. "I'll scare him good. Maybe a little fire to spook those bees." Nate, watching the footage with Lily the next morning, felt his blood run cold. "He's talking about arson," he whispered. Lily hugged him, her face pale. "We've got him on tape. He's not getting near us." But Carl was paranoid and reckless. On Thursday, he spotted a camera in a fake rock near Nate's gate while patrolling in his golf cart. He smashed it with a tire iron, laughing as he tossed the pieces onto Nate's farm. "Nice try, B-boy," he shouted, flipping off the barn before speeding away. Nate, watching from inside, felt his stomach twist. "He's escalating fast." Lily picked up the broken camera, her jaw tight. "He's sloppy, Nate. That's his weakness. We'll use it." Nate nodded, pulling up the footage of Carl's vandalism. "Let's get the neighbors together. It's time to fight back." Nate, Lily, and Mrs. Ellis hosted a secret meeting at Mrs. Ellis's house, cramming 50 neighbors into her cozy living room. The air was thick with anger and determination. Mrs. Ellis, 67, a retired schoolteacher with a voice that could command a classroom, kicked things off. "Carl's no HOA chief. He's a fraud." She held up Nate's deed no HOA in Maple Grove Estates records. Mr. Daniels, 72, admitted he'd paid Carl $600, thinking it was legit. "I thought I had to," he said, his hands shaking. Mrs. Garcia, 62, fumed. "He fined me $300 for my dog, said it was too loud." The teenage twins, Mia and Max, 16, who ran a TikTok account with 5K followers, spoke up. "He shut down our lemonade stand last summer, $200 fine. We're in." Lily's journalist friend, Sophie, 29, saw viral potential. "This is gonna explode," she said, filming a recap with Nate's footage on her phone. Her video, "Fake HOA Cop Wrecks Kids Farm Tour," hit 3 million views in 48 hours. TikTok turned Carl's yell, "Bees are a health hazard," into a meme, Bee Kid Challenge. Kids across the country started posting videos of themselves running from fake bees, tagging #BeeKidChallenge. Carl, freaking out, posted a flyer. "Ignore the lies. The HOA protects your community." But the damage was done. Maple Grove was ready to fight. Nate upped the ante. He set up a new camera, bee watcher, hidden in a fake beehive near the decoy gate. He added a speaker playing Sweet Caroline, Carl's most hated song, according to a neighbor who'd overheard him ranting at the diner on a low loop to mess with him. The camera caught Carl bribing Vinny again, this time at 2 a.m. behind the estate's pool house. "Make that bee guy disappear," Carl snapped, handing over $700. "I don't care how burn his hives, scare his customers, whatever it takes." Vinny grinned, cracking his knuckles. "He's toast." Nate, watching the footage with Lily and Mrs. Ellis the next morning, felt a surge of adrenaline. "We've got him dead to rights," he said. Mrs. Ellis nodded, her eyes fierce. "Let's show the town." At the next neighborhood meeting, held in Mr. Daniel's garage to avoid suspicion, Nate played the footage on a projector he'd borrowed from the library. The crowd of 60 neighbors lost it. "Arrest him," yelled Mrs. Garcia, waving her cane. "He's a crook," shouted Mr. Thompson, 70, a retired teacher. Carl, who'd been lurking in the back hoping to intimidate folks, tried to bolt, but Vinny, sweating bullets, shouted, "He made me do it. I didn't sign up for arson." Neighbors blocked the door, phones out, live streaming the chaos to the Maple Grove Facebook group. Within minutes, the local police were on their way. 3 days later, Nate woke up to find his main entrance blocked, a heavy metal gate with a sign, "Property of Maple Grove Estates HOA." Carl had taken the bait, thinking he'd locked Nate out for good. The cameras caught him installing it at 2 a.m., bragging to Vinny, "This'll shut him down for good. No more bees, no more trouble." But Nate was already on his farm, using the hidden road. He smirked, watching the footage with Lily over breakfast. "They think they've won," he said, sipping his coffee. Lily grinned. "They have no idea what's coming." Nate nodded, pulling up his security app. It's time to spring the trap and give him a sting they'll never forget. Carl knew he was in deep trouble, but he wasn't going down without a fight. He hired a sleazy lawyer, Tony Marino, 50, a guy known for defending shady landlords in Columbus. Tony filed a lawsuit against Nate, Lily, Mrs. Ellis, and even the teenage twins, Mia and Max, for defamation and harassment. In court, Tony waived fake HOA bylaws, claiming Maple Grove Estates had historical authority over Nate's land. But Mrs. Ellis was ready. She'd spent days at the library with her friend, Clara the clerk, digging up dirt. "Your Honor," she said, her voice steady, "Carl's a serial con artist." She presented his Dayton rap sheet, 3 fraud charges, 2 counts of assault. Then Nate played bee watchers footage, Carl's bribes, Vinny's threats, the gate installation. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, didn't blink. "This is a sham," she declared, ordering Carl to repay $40,000 in stolen fees to the community. The courtroom erupted in cheers, with Mrs. Garcia shouting, "Take that, you fake cop." Back in Maple Grove, Nate kept farming via the hidden road, selling honey at the market and rebuilding his tour program. Sophie's TikTok videos had raised $5,000, which Nate used to buy new hives and repair his barn. But Carl, desperate and humiliated, wasn't done. He hired a thug, Bobby, 38, a wannabe tough guy with a shaved head and a neck tattoo, to sabotage Nate's operation. "Burn the hives," Carl told Bobby over a burner phone, his voice dripping with venom. "Make it look like an accident." Bobby, eager for the $500 payout, sneaked onto Nate's farm at midnight, a can of gasoline in hand. Nate, however, was one step ahead. He'd rigged a fake beehive near the decoy gate, a prop packed with sensors and a hidden release mechanism. When Bobby smashed it with a crowbar, thinking it was real, the sensors triggered a nearby gate to open, releasing a swarm of bees Nate had safely relocated earlier that day. The bees, already agitated by Bobby's noise, went wild. Bobby screamed, dropping the gasoline as the swarm chased him across the farm. "Get him off me," he yelled, flailing as he ran straight into a ditch, bees buzzing around his head. Neighbors, woken by the commotion, filmed the chaos from their windows. Sophie, who'd been crashing at Mrs. Ellis's house, posted the video, "Bees own fake cop's goon." It hit 8 million views in 24 hours, with comments flooding in, "Bee justice. Fake cop got stung." Carl's reputation was toast. Carl tried to save face with a sob story flyer. "I'm the victim of a smear campaign. It backfired spectacularly. Maple Grove turned it into memes, with kids pasting the flyers on lampposts with "loser" written in marker. The police, tipped off by Nate's footage, raided Carl's McMansion in the estates. They found $80,000 in cash hidden in a safe, along with fake HOA documents and a burner phone linking him to Bobby. Carl was arrested on the spot, charged with fraud, extortion, and vandalism. Vinny, facing his own charges, flipped on Carl to cut a deal, spilling everything about their scam. "He told me to burn the hives," Vinny told the cops, his voice shaky. Said it'd scare the big guy into selling. With Carl behind bars, Nate thought the worst was over, but he'd underestimated Karen Voss. Karen, 55, wasn't just the puppet master of the fake HOA. She had a personal stake in Nate's land that went deeper than her spa retreat deal. Lily, digging through old property records at the courthouse, uncovered a bombshell. Nate's farm had once belonged to Karen's father, a real estate tycoon who'd lost it in a bankruptcy deal in 2005. Karen had been at his deathbed when he passed in 2010, and he'd made her promise to reclaim our legacy. To Karen, that meant Nate's farm at any cost. "She's not just after profit," Lily told Nate over the phone, her voice tense. "This is personal. She sees you as the guy who stole her family's honor." Karen wasn't done fighting. With Carl out of the picture, she hired a new enforcer. Derek, 44, a former private investigator with a shady past. Derek was smarter than Carl. He didn't wear a fake uniform, but he had a knack for intimidation. He started by spreading rumors at the Maple Grove diner, telling locals Nate's bees were dangerous and carrying diseases. "I heard they stung a kid last week." Derek lied to Mr. Thompson over coffee, his voice low and sinister. Mr. Thompson, 70, didn't buy it. "Nate's bees are fine," he snapped, slamming his mug down. "You're full of it." But the rumors spread, and some of Nate's regular customers at the market started avoiding his stall. Karen also filed a new lawsuit, claiming Nate's hidden access road was unsafe and environmentally damaging. She hired a crooked environmental consultant, Marla, 50, to fake a report saying Nate's road was harming a protected wetland. It wasn't. There was no wetland. In court, Marla presented her report with a straight face, but Nate and Lily were ready. Lily had called in a favor with her friend, Dr. Ellis, 60, a retired environmental scientist who volunteered to inspect the road. "There's no wetland here," Dr. Ellis told the judge, presenting his own report with photos and soil samples. "This is a fabricated claim." The judge threw out Karen's lawsuit, but not before warning her. "One more stunt like this, Ms. Voss, and you'll be facing sanctions." Karen, furious, doubled down. She paid Derek to sabotage Nate's market stall at the next farmer's market. Derek sneaked in at dawn, dumping sugar syrup on Nate's honey display to attract ants and ruin his stock. But Nate had a new ally, Mia and Max, the TikTok twins. They'd set up a GoPro to catch vandals after their lemonade stand got hit last year. The camera caught Derek in the act, his face clear as day. Max posted the video. "Fake HOA goon ruins honey stall." It hit 5 million views, with comments like "Protect Nate's bees" and "Karen's a monster." Karen's spa retreat investors, seeing the backlash, started pulling out. "We can't be tied to this," one told her over the phone, his voice cold. "You're toxic now." Nate wasn't just a beekeeper, he was a tech guy with tricks up his sleeve. After Derek's stunt at the market, Nate borrowed a drone from his old cybersecurity buddy, Ryan, 41, who ran a tech startup in Columbus. The drone, a high-tech model with a 4K camera and 40-minute flight time, was perfect for Nate's next move. "If Karen wants to play dirty, I'll play smarter," Nate told Lily, programming the drone in his barn. He named it Bee Spy and rigged it with a speaker to play buzzing sounds, just to mess with Derek. Nate flew Bee Spy over the estates at night, catching Derek meeting Karen at her mansion. "He's still selling honey," Derek grumbled, pacing her marble patio. "The rumors aren't enough." Karen, sipping a martini, slammed her glass down. "Then do more. I want him gone now." The drone recorded it all, including Karen handing Derek a wad of cash. "Make his life hell," she hissed. Nate, watching the live feed with Lily, grinned. "Got her." The next day, Derek tried to escalate by hiring a group of teens to spray paint "Be Freak" on Nate's barn. But Nate was ready. He'd set up motion sensor sprinklers around the barn after Bobby's bee chase. The sprinklers went off, soaking the teens in ice-cold water and washing away the paint before it could dry. The kids ran off, screaming, as Nate's cameras caught the whole thing. Sophie posted the video. Teens fail to vandalize beef farm. It hit 4 million views, with Maple Grove rallying behind Nate even more. Karen, desperate, made a fatal mistake. She ordered Derek to cut down the wildflower field Nate used to feed his bees, thinking it'd starve them out. Derek rented a bulldozer, planning to flatten the field at dawn. But Nate had a final trap. He'd planted a hidden beehive in the field, rigged with a remote release. As Derek's bulldozer rolled in, Nate triggered the hive from his phone. A swarm of bees erupted, chasing Derek off the bulldozer and across the field. Derek, flailing and screaming, tripped into the creek, soaking himself as the bees buzzed around him. Neighbors filmed it all, and Sophie's video, Bees vs. Bulldozer, went viral at 10 million views. Karen's last investor bailed, and the spa retreat deal collapsed. With the drone footage, beehive traps, and community support, Nate had all the evidence he needed. Lily took the recordings to the district attorney, who filed charges against Karen for fraud, conspiracy, and vandalism. Derek, facing his own charges, flipped on Karen to save himself, revealing her entire scheme, including her personal vendetta over the land. Karen was arrested at her mansion, her designer heels clicking as cops led her away in cuffs. She got 12 years. Derek, 6. Carl, already in jail, got an extra 5 years for his role. Maple Grove threw a honey festival to celebrate, with Nate serving mead from his new tasting room, built with the $6,000 Sophie's videos had raised. The festival drew 500 locals, raising $10,000 for a bee conservation charity. Mrs. Ellis, Mr. Daniels, and Mrs. Garcia danced to a local band, while kids ran around with honey sticks. No more fake cops, Mr. Thompson toasted, raising a glass of mead. Nate, watching the sunset with Lily, smiled. We did it. Karen fled to Nevada after parole, where ex-posts claimed she was trying to start a new scam. Nate's farm became a tourist spot, featured on Channel 5 as Ohio's Bee Hero. Sophie's channel hit 300K subs, crediting Nate's story for her big break. Maple Grove thrived, no fake HOAs, just a community stronger than ever. The final video closed with Nate harvesting honey under a golden sunset, bees buzzing happily, his new tasting room glowing in the background. This is our home, Nate narrated. And no fake cop or queen bee can take it away. That's a wrap. HOA Karen Files fam. Nate just dropped a 30 million view bomb on fake HOA cop Carl and queen bee Karen, turning Maple Grove into a bully-free zone. From camera traps to a bee swarm takedown, drone chases, and a wildflower field sting, this 100-minute saga proves you don't mess with a beekeeper and his farm. What was your favorite moment? Carl's gate fail? Derek's bulldozer bee chase? Or Karen's courtroom meltdown? Spill it in the comments and share this video to spread the justice. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've got more HOA drama coming your way. Peace out, keep buzzing, and let's keep the HOA Karen Files vibes alive. HOA Karen's fake HOA cops smashed by dogs gnome wrecking revenge. The clock ticks past 10:30 p.m. in Sunny Meadows, a suburban fortress where every lawn is sculpted to HOA perfection and every mailbox bows to the sacred shade of slate gray. You're slumped on your couch, Muffin, your 5-year-old golden retriever, sprawled across your lap, his snores a soft counterpoint to the true crime documentary droning on your TV. A half-eaten slice of pizza sits on the coffee table, and you're nursing a glass of iced tea when a piercing siren tears through the quiet like a chainsaw. Red and blue lights flood your living room, painting jagged shadows across the walls. Your heart leaps into your throat, and Muffin bolts upright, growling, his floppy ears perked. You stumble to the window, peeling back the blinds, and freeze. A battered sedan sits crookedly in your driveway, its hood defaced with a spray-painted Sunny Meadows HOA Patrol logo and a cheap siren speaker duct taped to the grill, wailing like a wounded animal. A hulking figure in a mismatched security uniform, badge dangling like a loose earring, boots so oversized they slap the pavement, storms toward your door, pounding with enough force to rattle the hinges. Open up, he roars, his voice raw and unhinged. You're evicted by order of the HOA. You and that mutt have 1 hour to get out, or I'm dragging you out in cuffs. Your mind races. Evicted? For what? You've paid your dues, kept your lawn pristine, followed every rule in the HOA's labyrinthine rulebook. Muffin's growls deepen, his hackles raised. You glance across the street and spot her. Karen, the neighborhood's HOA dictator, lurking behind a lamppost, her bleach-blonde bob catching the streetlight, her binoculars glinting as she smirks like a cartoon villain. Porch lights flare up and down the block, curtains twitch, and whispers ripple through the night. This isn't a mistake. This is Karen's war, and you're her target. The drama's about to detonate, and Sunny Meadows is the battleground. Sunny Meadows is a suburban mirage, sold as community bliss, but simmering with gossip and HOA-fueled power struggles. Its 72 houses, each a beige clone of the next, are governed by an HOA rulebook so dense it could double as a blunt weapon, with edicts on everything from grass height, 2.5 inches, no exceptions, to mailbox sheen, Pantone, 445C, polished weekly. You've lived here for 2 years, a graphic designer who works late and keeps your modest home HOA compliant. Your only act of defiance? Muffin, your golden retriever, whose boundless energy and soulful eyes make him the block's beloved mascot. Kids sneak him treats. Mrs. Delgado, the kind-hearted retiree across the street, knits him seasonal bandanas, and even Mr. Patel, the grumpy ex-engineer next door, tosses him a tennis ball during his evening walks. But to Karen, Muffin's a walking war crime. Karen, 53, widowed, and the HOA's self-appointed overlord, rules Sunny Meadows like a suburban despot. Her corner lot at Meadow Lane is a monument to her control, a lawn so pristine it looks vacuumed, a mailbox that gleams like a mirror, and a squadron of garden gnomes she treats like royalty. She's fined a single mom for a non-compliant bird feeder, reported a teenager's skateboard ramp as a public menace, and once tried to ban Christmas lights for excessive wattage. Her clipboard is her throne, her notebook a ledger of neighbors' sins, and her daily patrols, fanny pack stuffed with measuring tape, decibel meter, and a laser pointer for precision enforcement, are the stuff of nightmares. Karen's feud with Muffin ignited 14 months ago on a blistering July day. You were in your backyard, tossing Muffin's favorite squeaky ball, when he spotted Sir Gunno Malott, Karen's prized garden gnome, perched near her fence like a ceramic sentinel. In a burst of puppy joy, Muffin charged, knocking the gnome into a sprinkler. The gnome survived with a chipped hat, but Karen's ego took a fatal hit. She stormed over, her face redder than Mrs. Delgado's heirloom tomatoes, screaming about vandalism and reckless pet ownership. You apologized, offered to replace the gnome, even sent her a $50 gift card to Gnome Depot. She refused, her eyes blazing. That mutt will pay, she hissed, stomping back to her gnome shrine. Since then, Karen's been a one-woman crusade against Muffin. Her notebook, which Zoe, the 17-year-old tech prodigy next door, once glimpsed at a garage sale, is a manifesto of obsession, with entries like 6:12 a.m., Muffin barked once, disrupting my sunrise meditation, and 3:47 p.m., Muffin's tail wagged menacingly, potential threat to Gnome's safety. You thought it was just Karen's brand of petty, annoying but toothless, until 3 weeks ago, when her campaign turned sinister. At the monthly HOA meeting, which you missed due to a client deadline, Karen unleashed her opening salvo. Zoe, there to pitch a community Wi-Fi project, Liv texted you the chaos. Karen stormed the podium, waving a petition titled Operation Silence the Beast, claiming Muffin's relentless yowling was ruining her nightly meditation, terrifying her cat, Mr. Whiskers, and slashing property values by at least 4.2%. Her evidence? A grainy audio clip of dog barks that sounded like a stock sound effect, not Muffin's deep, soulful woof. The petition had 6 signatures: Karen, her unemployed cousin Larry, her cat, signed Mr. Whiskers, her book club friend Darlene, bribed with a lasagna, a neighbor she'd guilt-tripped, and, bizarrely, her gardener, who doesn't even live in Sunny Meadows. Mr. Thompson, the HOA president and a soft-spoken accountant with a passion for birdwatching, shut it down. Karen, we need verifiable evidence, not theatrics. Karen stormed out, slamming the community center door so hard a ceiling tile cracked. The next morning, Mrs. Delgado pulled you aside while you walked Muffin. Be careful, dear, she whispered, glancing at Karen's house. She's been knocking on doors, offering brownies and free lawn mowing to report Muffin's barking. Mr. Patel grumbled about Karen cornering him at his mailbox, demanding he sign a noise complaint. Zoe caught her snooping near your fence at dusk, binoculars trained on your backyard, muttering about gathering intel. You brushed it off? Muffin's been recovering from a sprained paw, spending most days napping on your couch, quieter than a monk. But Karen's obsession was growing, and tonight, with this fake cop pounding on your door, you realize she's not just petty, she's unhinged. Back to the present. Officer Jenkins is a walking caricature of authority. His badge, stamped Sunny Meadows Security, looks like it was printed on a 90s inkjet, the letters smudged and uneven. His eviction notice is a crumpled sheet of printer paper with HOA code 47B, excessive canine disturbance scrawled in red marker, the ink bleeding like a cheap tattoo. You crack the door, keeping Muffin back with one hand, his growls vibrating through your palm. There's no code 47B, you say, voice steady despite the adrenaline. Show me the rulebook. Jenkins blinks, sweat dripping down his temple, his too-tight uniform straining at the seams. I am the rulebook, he roars, thrusting the notice at you. The paper claims Muffin's documented barking has triggered immediate eviction, citing complaints from multiple residents. You scan it. Typos, misaligned text, a header that misspells Sunny Meadows as Sunny Meadows. It's a forgery, and a lazy one. You challenge him. Who are you? And where's your ID? Jenkins fumbles, patting his pockets, then mutters, left it in the patrol car. His radio crackles, and a voice, high-pitched, unmistakably Karen's, hisses, Larry, stick to the script. Make it scary. Larry? Your gut twists. This isn't a cop. This is Karen's hired goon, and she's directing this circus from across the street. You stall, asking to speak to Mr. Thompson. Jenkins snaps. I report to the board, not some desk jockey. He steps closer, brandishing a pair of plastic handcuffs that look like they came with a kid's police costume, complete with a toy badge. You've got 60 minutes, or I'm hauling you to HOA detention. HOA detention? The absurdity would be hilarious if your pulse weren't racing. You glance at Karen. She's pacing now, her binoculars trembling, her smirk fading as she senses trouble. The neighborhood's waking up. Porch lights blaze, doors creak open, and phones glow in the dark. Zoe emerges from her garage, phone raised, live streaming to the Sunny Meadows group chat. Yo, this dude's fake, she yells, zooming in on Jenkins' badge. It says property of Party City. The chat explodes, laughing emojis, gifs of Karen's no meltdown, and Mrs. Delgado typing. Karen's lost her mind. Mr. Patel, in his bathrobe, shouts from his porch, this is nonsense. That's no cop. Timmy, the 10-year-old from down the street, pedals up on his bike, yelling, he looks like my uncle after a costume party. Jenkins, rattled by Zoe's broadcast, steps forward, waving his handcuffs. You're obstructing HOA justice, he roars, but Muffin lets out a bone-rattling bark, deep and primal, and Jenkins stumbles, tripping over your garden hose. His clipboard flies into the grass, and you snatch it up. Tucked inside is a note in Karen's loopy cursive. Larry, make it terrifying. $150 bonus if they beg. Speaker in bushes. Crank it at 11 p.m. Speaker? Your blood boils. This isn't a prank. It's a conspiracy. You grab a flashlight from the porch and check the bushes by your fence. Sure enough, there's a Bluetooth speaker duct taped to a branch, its LED blinking faintly. You rip it free and hold it up like a smoking gun. This is Karen's evidence, you shout. The crowd gasps, phones raised, capturing every second. Zoe zooms in, her live stream hitting 600 viewers. She faked the barking, she yells. The chat goes wild. Busted. Karen's toast. Karen sprints across the street, her tracksuit flapping, shrieking. That's not mine. You planted it. But Zoe's already pulling footage from her Ring camera, showing Karen sneaking into your yard at 3:17 a.m., hoodie up, planting the speaker like a suburban spy. The neighbors close in, their whispers turning to shouts. Mrs. Delgado, clutching her rosary, demands, Karen, how could you? Mr. Patel shakes his fist, yelling, you've terrorized us for years. Timmy, still on his bike, chants, Karen's a liar. Jenkins, a.k.a. Larry, panics, his fake badge falling off and landing in a puddle. "I didn't sign up for this," he mutters, backing toward his car. Karen grabs his sleeve, screeching, "You idiot! You're ruining everything." The tension's electric. This is no longer about Muffin. It's about a neighborhood fed up with a tyrant. The crowd's a powder keg, phones raised, capturing Karen's unraveling. Zoe's live stream is a wildfire, the group chat flooded with memes and accusations. Mr. Thompson arrives, his Prius screeching to a stop, his birdwatching binoculars still dangling around his neck. He clutches the HOA rulebook, his glasses fogging with stress. "Karen," he says, voice trembling but firm, "this is fraud. You've violated every principle of this community." Karen, cornered, flails like a trapped animal. "This is a witch hunt," she screeches, her mascara smudging. "You're all jealous of my leadership." You step forward, holding the speaker. "Leadership," you say, loud enough for the crowd. "You faked evidence, hired a fake cop, and tried to evict me over a dog." The neighbors roar in agreement. Zoe plays the ring footage on her phone, projecting it onto your garage door with a portable projector she keeps for movie nights. The grainy video shows Karen, unmistakable in her leopard print tracksuit, planting the speaker at 3:17 a.m., muttering, "This'll teach them." The crowd gasps, then boos. Timmy, ever the opportunist, starts a chant. "Karen's a fake. Karen's a fake." Jenkins, a.k.a. Larry, crumbles under the pressure. "She paid me $400, he blurts, pointing at Karen. "Said she'd sell my Camry and give me her husband's golf clubs if I scared him out. I'm just a roofer." The crowd erupts, and Karen lunges, screaming, "You traitor!" But she slips on the wet grass, landing in a sprinkler with a spectacular splash. Muffin, freed from the open gate, seizes his moment, charging Karen's new gnome, Lady Gnomelot, and sending it flying into the water. The gnome's head snaps off, and Karen's wail echoes as her tracksuit soaks through, her mascara running like a horror movie villain. The crowd roars with laughter, phones capturing every humiliating second. The Real police arrive, their cruiser pulling up silently, no siren needed. Larry, now in full panic mode, spills everything. Karen forged noise complaints, bribed her book club with casseroles to lie about Muffin's barking, and planted the speaker to frame you. Her motive? Revenge for the gnome incident and a delusional belief that Muffin was tanking Sunny Meadows' prestige. The cops cuff Larry, who's begging for a plea deal, and escort Karen to their cruiser for questioning. She resists, shrieking about HOA sovereignty, but slips again, landing in a mud puddle. Zoe's livestream hits 1,200 viewers, and the chat is a sea of fire emojis and justice gifs. But Karen's not done. As the police lead her away, she turns, her eyes blazing, and hisses, "This isn't over. I'll bury you all." The crowd falls silent, the threat hanging heavy. You glance at Zoe, who's still filming, and Mr. Thompson, who's clutching his rulebook like a lifeline. Karen's down, but she's not out. The war's far from won. The next morning, Sunny Meadows buzzes with gossip. Neighbors gather in driveways, rehashing the night's drama, while kids reenact Muffin's gnome chase with action figures. You're exhausted, barely sleeping after the chaos, but relieved. Karen's in hot water, Larry's in custody, and Muffin's curled up on his dog bed, oblivious to his hero status. Zoe stops by, showing you her livestream stats, 150,000 views and climbing. "You're a legend," she says, tweaking her HOA Karen Files video. But the victory feels fragile. Karen's parting threat, "I'll bury you all," echoes in your mind. By noon, the other shoe drops. A glossy flyer appears in every mailbox, titled Sunny Meadows Truth Bulletin, printed on expensive cardstock. It's Karen's work, no question. The flyer accuses you of orchestrating a smear campaign against her, claims Muffin's a dangerous beast who's attacked multiple gnomes, and, wildly, alleges you planted the speaker to frame a devoted HOA leader. It ends with a call to vote for emergency HOA elections to restore order. Attached is a grainy photo of Muffin mid-bark, photoshopped to look like he's snarling at a child. The audacity is breathtaking. The neighborhood's divided. Most rally behind you. Mrs. Delgado organizes a Muffin Defense Squad group chat, and Mr. Patel offers to testify about Karen's bullying. But a small faction, led by Darlene and her book club, buys Karen's lies. Darlene, still stinging from her public shaming, goes door to door, spreading the flyer and whispering about your shady motives. Timmy reports seeing Karen's cousin Larry, out on bail, lurking near the community center, passing envelopes to Darlene. Zoe hacks into the HOA's email server, ethically, she insists, and finds a draft of Karen's next move. A surprise HOA meeting tomorrow, where she plans to present new evidence and demand your eviction. You call an emergency strategy session at Mrs. Delgado's house. The Muffin Defense Squad gathers. You, Zoe, Mr. Patel, Mrs. Delgado, Timmy, who insists on contributing, and even Mr. Thompson, who's finally fed up with Karen's chaos. Zoe pulls more ring footage, showing Larry delivering the flyers under Karen's orders. Mr. Patel reveals Karen once fined him $200 for a non-approved rosebush, which he's never forgiven. Timmy, with surprising insight, suggests checking Karen's garbage for evidence. She's notorious for forgetting to shred documents. The plan forms. Zoe and Timmy will stake out Karen's house for intel, while you and Mr. Thompson prepare a counter-presentation for the HOA meeting. That night, Zoe and Timmy, armed with flashlights and a GoPro, catch Karen in her garage, stuffing envelopes with more flyers and, shockingly, a forged police report claiming Muffin bit a delivery driver. The report's laughably fake, with Sunny Meadows PD misspelled as Sunny Meadows, but it's dangerous in the wrong hands. Zoe films Karen ranting to Larry. If I go down, they all go down. Timmy, hiding in a bush, accidentally sneezes, and Karen nearly catches them, but they escape, hearts pounding. The HOA meeting is a circus. Karen, dressed in a power suit and fake tears, presents her evidence, the forged report, a doctored audio of Muffin growling, and testimony from Darlene, who claims Muffin lunged at her cat. The room's tense, with Darlene's book club nodding along. Then you take the floor, backed by the Muffin Defense Squad. Zoe plays her GoPro footage, exposing Karen's flyer stuffing and forged report. Mr. Patel recounts her years of bullying, his voice shaking with rage. Mrs. Delgado, in a mic drop moment, reveals she found Karen's unshredded notes in her trash, detailing her plan to destroy you. The crowd turns, booing Karen, and Darlene flees, muttering apologies. Karen, cornered, screams, "You're all sheep," and storms out, tripping over a chair in her haste. Karen's defeat at the HOA meeting should be the end, but she's a hydra. Cut off one head, and another grows. The next day, a cease and desist letter arrives from a shady lawyer, claiming you've defamed Karen and demanding $50,000 or she'll sue. The letter's on cheap letterhead, and the lawyer's name, J. Cornelius Fudge, sounds like a Harry Potter reject, but it's a scare tactic. Zoe traces the lawyer to a strip mall office linked to Larry's ex-wife, confirming it's another Karen ploy. The neighborhood's furious. Mrs. Delgado organizes a petition to countersue for harassment, and Mr. Patel hires a real lawyer, pro bono, to shut Karen down. The legal battle unfolds over 2 weeks, with Karen doubling down. She posts rants on the Nextdoor app, calling you a dog-worshipping anarchist and claiming the HOA's corrupt. She even hires a new ally, Dr. Brenda, a self-proclaimed pet behaviorist with a mail-order degree, who testifies at a second HOA hearing that Muffin's aggressive aura threatens the community. Brenda's report is a joke, citing Muffin's excessive tail wagging as evidence of latent hostility, but it sways a few holdouts. You counter with vet records proving Muffin's gentle nature, plus a surprise witness, the delivery driver from Karen's forged report, who confirms Muffin never bit him and loves belly rubs. The turning point comes when Zoe, digging through public records, uncovers Karen's biggest secret. She's been renting out her garage as an illegal Airbnb, violating HOA and city rules. The evidence, photos, guest reviews, and bank transactions, prove she's pocketed thousands while fining neighbors for minor infractions. Mr. Thompson, emboldened, calls a final HOA vote. The result is unanimous. A $15,000 fine, a permanent ban from HOA activities, and a formal complaint to the city for her Airbnb scheme. Karen's lawyer, Fudge, vanishes, and her Nextdoor account is suspended after Zoe reports her for harassment. Karen's house hits the market a week later, the for sale sign defaced with a sharp-drawn muffin peeing on a gnome. Rumors swirl she's fled to a pet-free condo in a neighboring town. Her gnome collection sold at a garage sale for pennies. Muffin becomes a local icon, with kids designing Muffin the Gnome Buster t-shirts and Zoe selling them on Etsy. Her live stream goes viral, hitting 200,000 views and earning her a journalism scholarship. You're the neighborhood hero, but the battle's taught you something deeper. A community's strength lies in its unity, not its rulebook. You're on your porch, the late afternoon sun bathing sunny meadows in gold. Muffin sprawled at your feet, gnawing a squeaky toy shaped like a gnome, his tail thumping lazily. The air feels lighter, freer, without Karen's binoculars stalking your every move. The neighborhood's healing. Mr. Thompson's new HOA rules limit fines and require evidence. Mrs. Delgado's knitting Muffin a hero dog bandana, and Mr. Patel's planning a Muffin Appreciation Day block party with ribs, a doggy cake, and a gnome-free zone sign for laughs. Timmy's selling lemonade to fund a Muffin statue, and even Darlene, chastened, apologizes with a homemade pie. Zoe stops by, her laptop open, editing her latest HOA Karen Files video. The title? The Fake Cop, the Dog, and the HOA Witch. She shows you the view count, 250,000 and climbing. Your channel's blowing up, she says, tweaking the thumbnail to feature Muffin mid-gnome chase. You reflect on the saga. Karen's fall wasn't just about a dog or a gnome. It was about power, control, and a community that stood together against a bully. Mrs. Delgado's courage, Zoe's tech savvy, Mr. Patel's grit, Timmy's sneaky stakeout. They all mattered. You faced the camera, Muffin's ears perked, the sunset glowing behind you. HOA Karen Files fam, what an epic saga. If this drama had you glued, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more wild stories. Drop your craziest HOA tale in the comments. Have you battled a Karen? Let's keep the files alive. Share this with your neighbors, your dog, your mailman. Let's hit 100K subs and make Muffin proud. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. HOA Karen and fake HOA cop. Gun pointed at my special forces son over a bird feeder. Karen's empire crumbles. Welcome back to HOA Karen Files, the channel where we rip the clipboards out of HOA tyrants' hands and give power back to the people. Today, we're diving into a saga so wild, so infuriating, and so downright satisfying. It'll have you glued to your screen for the next 2 hours. Picture this. A fake HOA cop, strutting like he's John Wayne, storms onto a veteran's lawn in broad daylight, pointing a loaded gun at a Special Forces hero, all because of a bird feeder. A bird feeder. And who's egging him on? None other than Karen Mitchell, the visor-wearing, schnauzer-toting dictator of Red Maple Grove, smirking like she's the queen of the cul-de-sac. Her clipboard's her crown, her fines are her decrees, and her boyfriend's badge? Well, that's just her ticket to terrorize the neighborhood. But here's where it gets good. That hero, Jason, isn't just any veteran. He's a Special Forces operative, trained to outsmart warlords in deserts and jungles, with a calm so deadly it could freeze lava. He's faced enemies who make this fake cop look like a mall security guard on a power trip. Which, let's be honest, he basically is. What Karen and her gun-toting goon don't know. They've just picked a fight with the wrong family, in the wrong neighborhood, at the wrong time. And when Jason smiles, that quiet, terrifying smile that says, "You're done," you know Red Maple Grove is about to witness the collapse of Karen's empire. This is HOA cop pointed a gun at my Special Forces son over a bird feeder. Karen's reign collapses. Our longest, most explosive story yet, packed with drama, revenge, and a llama named Gizmo who steals the show. Yes, you heard that right, a llama. From illegal cameras to viral X memes, from a 120-page dossier to a block party that'll make you cheer, this tale has it all. And trust me, you don't want to miss the moment when Karen's clipboard hits a lawn and stays there. Let me set the scene. Red Maple Grove, 2023, was the kind of place you'd see on a postcard. White picket fences, manicured lawns, and cul-de-sacs where kids biked and retirees sipped sweet tea on porches. It was the American dream. A slice of suburbia where my husband, Frank, and I moved to escape the city's noise and spend our golden years in peace. Frank, a Navy vet who served in Vietnam, wanted a quiet spot to tend roses and hang an American flag. I wanted a garden, a porch swing, and maybe a few cardinals at a bird feeder. Our son, Jason, 30, had just come home from his 4th tour with Special Forces, a towering, polite man who mowed our lawn and called everyone ma'am. Even our cat, Whiskers. We thought Red Maple was our happily ever after. But dreams have a funny way of turning into nightmares. Enter Karen Mitchell, the HOA president who didn't just run Red Maple Grove. She ruled it like a suburban Stalin. With her visor, yoga pants, and a schnauzer named Muffin who yapped like a car alarm, Karen was a one-woman surveillance state. Her clipboard was her weapon, her 200-page rulebook her Bible, and her fines? They were her way of keeping us all in line. She'd taken over the HOA in 2021, unopposed, because who wants to deal with meeting minutes and mailbox measurements? That was our first mistake, letting apathy hand her the keys to the kingdom. Karen didn't waste time. She banned non-neutral mailboxes, fined people for excessive Christmas lights, and even cited old Mrs. Lennox, 84 and half blind, for her algae-infested bird bath. She was everywhere, measuring grass blades, snapping photos, and preaching about community standards like a televangelist. And her boyfriend, Randy? Oh, he was the cherry on her tyranny sundae. A part-time sheriff's deputy with a badge he flashed like a trophy, Randy patrolled in his cruiser, enforcing Karen's rules with a smirk and a hand on his holster. He wasn't on the HOA, but you wouldn't know it from the way he knocked on doors, demanding compliance. Our first run-in came early. Karen left a note on our mailbox. Knob 2 reflective. Violates code 2.1a. $50 fine. We laughed, thinking she was just bored. Then came a $75 fine for our non-compliant garden hose. Green, not beige. Frank, who'd faced storms at sea, grumbled, "Who cares about a hose?" But Karen cared. And when she cited our flagpole as hostile imagery, Jason raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, it's the American flag." Karen smirked. Code 4.3 violation, $100. That's when I saw Jason's jaw clench, the same look he got when he came home from places he doesn't talk about. Karen had no idea she'd just woken a sleeping giant. But this isn't just our story, it's Red Maple's. Neighbors like the Johnsons, fined for their unapproved rose bushes, the Harts, hit for their flag's proximity violation, and Mrs. Lennox, drowning in citations for her bird bath. They were scared, silenced by Karen's fines and Randy's cruiser. Red Maple wasn't a community. It was a prison, with Karen's clipboard as the bars. And Jason? He wasn't just our son. He was our hope, our hummingbird general, ready to fight for the freedom we thought we'd earned. Before we dive in, picture this ex-post that lit up the neighborhood. Visor vigilante strikes again. Karen finds 84 years old for birdbath algae. Who's next? Hashtag Red Maple Tyrant. It got 500 likes and a meme of Karen's visor photoshopped onto a dictator's face. That's the vibe we're bringing. Petty tyranny, viral rebellion, and a takedown so epic it'll be Red Maple legend. So what's your HOA horror? Drop it in the comments. We read every one, and yours could star in our next video. Smash that like button, subscribe, and share this with your neighbors. Let's tear down the clipboard queens together. Red Maple Grove, June 2023, was the kind of neighborhood you'd brag about to your city friends. Picture cul-de-sacs lined with bungalows, lawns so green they looked painted, and American flags flapping on every third pole. It was a retiree's Eden, where potlucks featured overcooked casseroles and pies that tasted suspiciously identical, like everyone used the same Costco recipe. Kids rode bikes until dusk, neighbors waved from porches, and the air smelled of fresh-cut grass and barbecue. Frank and I moved here in 2022, chasing a quiet retirement after decades in Philadelphia's hustle. Frank, 68, was a Navy vet who'd served on a destroyer in Vietnam, a man of few words but deep pride, especially in the flag he hung on our 15-foot pole. Ellen, 65, wanted a garden for roses, a porch swing for coffee, and a bird feeder to lure cardinals and blue jays. Our ranch house, on a 1.5-acre lot just outside the main HOA zone, had a massive oak that shaded our dreams of peace. Our son, Jason, joined us in May 2023, fresh from his 4th tour with Special Forces. At 30, he was a 6 feet 3 inches wall of quiet strength, with eyes that saw too much and a smile that rarely reached them. He'd led missions he couldn't share, in places that left scars he hid under flannel shirts. Back home, he was our gentle giant, mowing the lawn every Sunday, fixing Mrs. Lennox's fence, and saying ma'am to everyone, even Whiskers, our tabby who ruled the porch. Neighbors loved him. The Hearts called him the best kind of hero, and Mr. Jenkins, 80, swapped war stories with him over lemonade. Red Maple felt like the perfect place to heal, to rebuild, to live the freedom Frank and Jason had fought for. But freedom's fragile in a place like Red Maple Grove. Enter Karen Mitchell, the HOA president who turned our Eden into a bureaucratic hell. At 55, Karen was a walking stereotype. Visor tilted just so, yoga pants ironed, and a schnauzer named Muffin who yapped like a broken smoke detector. Her clipboard was her scepter, a leather-bound monstrosity stuffed with a 200-page rulebook she'd written herself. Karen didn't just run the HOA. She ruled it, a suburban autocrat who quoted Code 6.8b like scripture and fined people for breathing too loudly. She'd seized power in 2021, unopposed, when apathy let her waltz into the presidency. No one wanted the hassle of meeting minutes or mailbox measurements. That was Red Maple's original sin, handing Karen the keys to our lives. Karen's takeover was surgical. She won the HOA election with a ballot nobody saw, claiming 98% support from a neighborhood too busy to vote. She rewrote the bylaws overnight, adding rules like no non-neutral exterior colors and no ornamental disobedience, her actual phrase for lawn gnomes. She banned excessive Christmas lights, limited garbage bins to one per household, and required mailbox handles to be brushed nickel, Code 2.1a. Neighbors grumbled, but Karen had a knack for silence. She'd knock on doors, clipboard in hand, and say, "I'm just ensuring community standards," with a smile that could curdle milk. Her fines were her whip: $25 for a reflective mailbox knob, $50 for a visible garden hose, $100 for unapproved porch cushions. She didn't just fine you. She shamed you, leaving neon yellow violation notices taped to your door for all to see. Karen's boyfriend, Randy, was her enforcer. A part-time sheriff's deputy with a badge he polished daily, Randy, 50, had an ego bigger than Red Maple's community pool. He wasn't on the HOA, but you'd never know it. He patrolled in his cruiser, mirrored sunglasses gleaming, hand on his holster like a B-movie cop. He'd park outside problem houses, staring until you felt like a criminal. Randy called his rounds code enforcement, but we called it stalking. Some neighbors, like the Wilsons, liked the security. Others, like the Johnsons, started locking their gates. Randy wasn't just Karen's muscle. He was her attack dog, and Muffin was his furry sidekick, yapping at anything that moved. Our first brush with Karen came in July 2022, barely a month after moving in. A note appeared on our mailbox. Knob 2 reflective, violates code 2.1a, $50 fine due in 7 days. Frank snorted, reflective? It's metal. We paid it, thinking Karen was just a bored busybody who'd move on. Then came August, a $75 fine for our garden hose, green, not beige, a visual disruption, under code 3.4. I was watering roses in 90-degree heat, sweat dripping, when Karen strolled by, clipboard in hand. "Ellen, I'm afraid green hoses aren't neutral-toned," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "It's for the community's harmony." Frank, who'd faced typhoons at sea, muttered, "Harmony, my ass." We swapped the hose for a beige one, grumbling but compliant. We didn't want trouble. Trouble found us anyway. In September, Karen targeted our flagpole, a 15-foot aluminum beauty Frank had installed to honor his Navy service. The American flag snapped in the breeze, a symbol of everything he'd fought for. Karen left a citation. Flagpole exceeds height limit, code 4.3. Constitutes hostile imagery. $100 fine. Jason, home a week, read it and raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, it's the American flag," he said when Karen appeared, visor gleaming. She smirked, tapping her clipboard. "It's a violation, Jason. Pay or remove it." I saw his jaw clench, a flicker of the man who'd led missions in shadows. He didn't argue. He just nodded, too calm, the kind of calm that makes your skin prickle. Karen's reign wasn't just about us. She fined the Johnsons $150 for their unapproved rose bushes, claiming they disrupted curb appeal. Mrs. Johnson, 70, cried as she dug them up, roses her late husband had planted. The Harts got a $200 violation for their flags, proximity violation. Too close to their mailbox by 6 inches. Mr. Hart, a retired firefighter, tore it down, muttering about petty dictators. Old Mrs. Lennox, 84 and half-blind, faced 27 citations, mostly for her birdbath, a chipped concrete relic her son had built before he died in Iraq. Karen called it algae-infested and unsanitary, fining her $50 per notice. Mrs. Lennox, on a fixed income, paid until she couldn't, her savings draining as she apologized to neighbors for being a burden. Karen's power grew with every fine. She held emergency HOA meetings, unannounced, voting herself new powers while neighbors slept. She manipulated proxy votes, claiming absent residents supported her. The former treasurer, Emily, 45, quit after Karen bullied her for questioning a $5,000 consulting fee to Karen's own LLC. Emily left a note. She's stealing, but no one listens. Nobody did, until Jason came home. Red Maple's spirit was crumbling. Potlucks stopped. Neighbors avoided eye contact. Lawns were trimmed not from pride, but fear. Every blade measured to Karen's 2.5-inch rule. Ex-posts started popping up, anonymous but scathing. Visor vigilante finds 80 years old for gnome. Hashtag Red Maple Tyrant. One meme showed Karen's face on a dictator's body, captioned, "All hail the clipboard queen." It got 300 likes before Karen reported it, claiming defamation. The poster, rumored to be a teen, deleted it. Karen's reach was everywhere. Jason saw it all, quiet but watching. He'd sit on the porch, coffee in hand, studying Karen's patrols like a sniper scoping a target. One night, as Randy's cruiser idled outside, Jason said, "Mom, they're not neighbors. They're bullies with a budget." I laughed, but his eyes didn't. He was already planning, his special forces brain mapping a battlefield most of us didn't see. Karen thought she ruled Red Maple, but she'd just met her match. A man who'd fought for freedom and wasn't about to lose it to a visor and a fake badge. Our first act of defiance was small, a test. Jason, fed up with the flagpole fine, bought a lawn gnome, a tacky, grinning dwarf in a red hat, deliberately non-compliant, under code 5.2. He planted it by the mailbox, visible from Karen's daily route. She spotted it at dawn, muffin yapping like a siren. A citation arrived by noon. Ornamental disobedience, code 5.2, $75 fine. Karen's note added, "Remove immediately or face daily penalties." Jason read it, smiled, and left the gnome. The next day, another $75 fine. The day after, $100. Neighbors noticed, whispering. Mrs. Lennox shuffled over, chuckling. That boy's got guts. The gnome became a symbol, a middle finger to Karen's rulebook. Karen doubled down, citing us for landscape aggression, her term for defiance. She stood on our lawn, visor tilted, and said, "This is a warning, Ellen. Comply, or we'll escalate." Randy leaned against his cruiser, smirking. Frank, who'd been silent, stepped onto the porch. "Escalate to what, lady? You gonna arrest us for a gnome?" Karen's face twitched, but she didn't answer. She scribbled on her clipboard and left, Muffin's barks fading. That night, an ex-post appeared. Gnome Gate. Vet's family fights visor vigilante. Hashtag Red Maple Rebel. It got 600 likes, with comments like, "Go, gnome guy," and Karen's losing it. Jason saw it, grinned, and said, "Mom, this is just the start." Red Maple Grove wasn't a neighborhood anymore. It was a Cold War. Karen's clipboard breathed down our necks. Randy's cruiser haunted our streets, and Muffin's yaps were our alarm clock. But Jason was awake, his dossier growing, his pranks brewing. The Hummingbird General was ready to strike, and Karen's empire was about to learn what happens when you find the wrong flag. June 2023 in Red Maple Grove was hotter than a jalapeno on a grill, the kind of heat that made you question moving to the south. Our little slice of suburbia, once a haven of cul-de-sacs and friendly waves, now felt like a pressure cooker under Karen Mitchell's iron grip. Her neon yellow violation notices littered mailboxes, her schnauzer Muffin's yaps echoed at dawn, and Randy's cruiser prowled like a shark in a kiddie pool. After Jason's gnome prank, our tacky, red-hatted dwarf still grinning by the mailbox, Karen had upped her game. She slapped us with daily $100 fines for ornamental disobedience, and Randy's patrols doubled, his mirrored sunglasses glinting as he stared down anyone who dared water their lawn past 7 p.m. The ex-post Gunome Gate had gone viral, with 600 likes and memes of Karen's visor on a dictator's face, but it only made her meaner. Red Maple wasn't a neighborhood, it was Karen's battlefield, and we were all targets. Karen's latest obsession was control, and she wielded her 200-page rulebook like a club. In early June, she'd fine the Johnsons $200 for their unapproved rose bushes, now a pile of dirt where love once grew. The Harts got a $150 violation for their flag's excessive flutter. Yes, flutter, claiming it disrupted visual harmony. Mrs. Lennox, 84, faced a new $75 fine for her birdbath's unsanitary algae, her hands trembling as she paid, whispering apologies to neighbors. Karen's fines weren't just money, they were power, each one a reminder that she owned us. Ex-posts whispered rebellion. Visor vigilantes at it again. Hashtag Red Maple Tyrant. But fear kept most silent. Nobody wanted Randy's cruiser at their door. Our family was public enemy number one. Jason's gnome, now a neighborhood legend, had painted a target on our backs. Karen's citations piled up. $100 for the gnome, $50 for non-neutral hose. We'd swapped back to green out of spite, and $75 for unauthorized porch flowers, my roses, which Frank tended like children. Frank, 68, a Navy vet who'd faced storms in Vietnam, was livid. I didn't survive typhoons for this crap, he growled, crumpling a citation. Ellen, 65, felt my stomach knot every time Karen's golf cart buzzed by, muffin yapping like a furry siren. Jason, our Special Forces son, stayed calm, his 6 feet 3 inches frame a quiet storm. He'd sit on the porch, coffee in hand, watching Randy's cruiser like a hawk. They're escalating, Mom, he said one night. Good. Makes it easier to bury them. The spark that lit the fire came on June 15th, a sticky afternoon when the air smelled of cut grass and tension. Jason, needing peace after years of war, had hung a bird feeder on our oak, a simple wooden box, painted blue, to attract blue jays and cardinals. He'd sit with his coffee, watching them flit, a rare smile softening his scarred face. It was his therapy, his way of stitching together the pieces of a soul frayed by missions he couldn't share. I'd watch from the kitchen, heart swelling, thinking, he's home. He's safe. But in Red Maple, nothing was safe from Karen. She spotted the feeder from her golf cart, visor tilted, muffins barks piercing the quiet. She marched across our lawn, Randy 2 steps behind, his deputy badge gleaming like a cheap trophy. Karen's clipboard was out, her pen scribbling before she spoke. This feeder's a violation of Code 6.8b, she barked, voice sharp as attack. Unauthorized wildlife attraction devices. Remove it by tomorrow, or it's a $300 fine. Jason, birdseed in hand, paused mid-pour, his flannel shirt dusted with dust. He looked up, eyes steady. You serious, ma'am? The question hung, half incredulous, half challenging. Karen's face flushed, her visor wobbling. Don't test me, Jason. This is for community standards. Randy stepped forward, chest puffed out, hand resting on his holster. You heard her, kid. Take it down. Jason set the birdseed bag down, slow, deliberate, his 6 feet 3 inches frame unfolding like a warning. You're on my property, sir, he said, voice low, calm, the kind that makes your skin prickle. And that's not a request to leave. Randy, not used to defiance, smirked, but his eyes flickered, nervous, like a bully who'd misjudged his mark. You think you're tough, huh? He snapped, and then, in a move that stopped my heart, he unholstered his gun, pointing it at Jason's chest. Time froze. I stood on the porch, hands gripping the railing, a scream caught in my throat. Frank, beside me, tensed, his Navy instincts kicking in. Ellen, stay back, he whispered, but his voice shook. Across the street, Mrs. Lennox peered through her blinds, her cane trembling. The Johnsons' front door cracked open, Mr. Johnson's face pale. The air was thick, the kind of silence that screams louder than words. Randy's gun gleamed, his hand unsteady, sweat beading on his brow. Karen stood on the sidewalk, clipboard clutched, her smirk faltering but still there, like she thought she'd won. Jason didn't flinch. His eyes locked on Randy's, calm, unyielding, the kind of stare that could make a warlord blink. He was special forces, trained to face death in deserts and jungles, and this? This was a deputy with a shaky hand and a fake sense of power. "You're making the biggest mistake of your HOA career," Jason said, voice like steel, each word a bullet. Then he smiled, not friendly, but the kind that says, "I've got you." Birdseed spilled from the bag at his feet, a slow cascade, as if even the ground knew something was about to break. What Karen and Randy didn't know, Jason was always 3 steps ahead. He'd rigged our doorbell cam to record 24/7, capturing every second of Randy's stunt. His phone, in his pocket, was live streaming to a private X group he'd set up for neighbors. Across the street, Mrs. Hart, 60, had her iPhone out, filming from her porch, her hands shaking but steady enough. Oh, and Jason was legally armed, a concealed carry permit tucked in his wallet, but he didn't touch his weapon. He didn't need to. His comm was his weapon, and it was sharper than Randy's gun. Randy's hand shook, the gun wobbling. "Take it down, kid," he growled, but his voice cracked, betraying him. Karen, sensing weakness, hissed, "Do it, Randy." But Jason just stood there, birdseed at his feet, oak leaves rustling above. "You're on camera," he said, nodding to the doorbell. "3 angles. And you're trespassing. Put it away, or this gets ugly." Randy's eyes darted, to the cam, to Karen, to the neighbors now stepping onto their lawns. The Johnsons, the Harts, even old Mr. Jenkins, 80, leaning on his cane. Red Maple was watching, and Randy was shrinking. He lowered the gun, muttering, "This ain't over." Karen scribbled furiously, her smirk gone, replaced by a scowl. "You'll regret this," she spat, storming back to her golf cart. Muffin yapped, a pathetic echo of her rage. Randy followed, his cruiser peeling out with a squeal. I ran to Jason, heart pounding, grabbing his arm. "You okay?" He nodded. "I still on the street." "I'm fine, Mom." "They're not." Frank clapped his shoulder, voice gruff. Damn fool didn't know who he was messing with. That night, the X group exploded. Mrs. Hart's video, titled "Gun Gate," "Fake Cop Threatens Vet," #Red Maple Tyrant, hit 1,000 views in hours. Memes flooded in. Randy's gun photoshopped as a water pistol, Karen's visor as a crown labeled Queen of Fines. Comments poured in. "Who does this guy think he is? Vet's a badass." "Karen's done." The post got 800 likes, but Karen reported it, claiming harassment. X kept it up, and Red Maple buzzed. Neighbors whispered at mailboxes, some scared, others angry. Mrs. Lennox slipped us a note. "Keep fighting, Jason. You're our hope." The next morning, a $300 fine arrived for wildlife endangerment, demanding the feeder's removal by July 1st. Karen's note added, "Failure to comply will result in legal action." Randy's cruiser parked across our street, his glare a daily ritual. But Jason was moving. He pulled the HOA bylaws, public record, and found Karen's rules were a legal dumpster fire. Vague clauses, no authority over private lots, and her own house breaking half her codes, 2 trash bins, an unpermitted shed, even a non-neutral mailbox painted sunset peach. He grinned, a rare spark in his eyes. "Mom, this is going to be fun." Jason didn't stop at research. To twist the knife, he hung a second bird feeder, this one bright red, right next to the first. Karen drove by at dawn, nearly crashing her golf cart. A new fine arrived, $500 for repeat wildlife violations. The X group lit up again. Bird feeder bandit strikes back. #Red Maple Rebel. A meme showed Jason's feeders as rebel flags, captioned "Freedom Tweets." Neighbors started talking, not whispering. Mr. Johnson nodded at Jason. Mrs. Hart baked him cookies. Red Maple was stirring, and Karen's empire was cracking. Frank, who'd been quiet, stepped up. He cornered Randy at the community mailbox, Navy vet to fake cop. "You ever point a gun at my son again," he said, voice low, "you'll wish you'd stayed in your cruiser." Randy muttered something and sped off. I watched, heart swelling, but scared. Karen and Randy weren't done, and Red Maple was a powder keg. Jason, though, was ready. His dossier, a growing stack of emails, videos, and bylaws, was his ammo, and the bird feeder rebellion was just the start. July 2023 in Red Maple Grove was a cauldron of heat and rebellion. Karen Mitchell's tyranny had tightened since the bird feeder showdown, her fines hitting like hailstones. The $500 citation for Jason's red feeder sat on our kitchen table, next to the $300 wildlife endangerment fine and a new $150 violation for our non-compliant porch light. Too bright, per code 7.4. Karen's golf cart buzzed daily, Muffin's yaps a mocking chorus. Randy's cruiser was a fixture, parked across our street, his mirrored sunglasses tracking every move. The ex-post gun gate had sparked a fire, with 2,000 views and memes of Randy's shaky gun hand. But Karen fought back, reporting posts as defamation and doubling fines. The Johnsons got a $250 violation for their unapproved mailbox decal, a rose sticker. The Harts faced $200 for their flag's improper angle. Mrs. Lennox, 84, got a $100 fine for her birdbath's excessive water level, her hands shaking as she paid. Red Maple's spirit was bruised, but Jason's bird feeder rebellion had lit a spark. Neighbors stopped whispering and started talking. Mr. Johnson, 70, slipped Jason a photo of Randy keying his car after a fine. Mrs. Hart, 60, shared a video of Karen measuring her lawn at midnight, visor glowing under a flashlight. Old Mr. Jenkins, 80, chuckled about Jason's red feeder, saying, "Boys got more guts than I had in Korea." The X group, now 50 members, buzzed with defiance. Bird feeder bandits, our hero. Hashtag Red Maple Rebel. But fear lingered. Karen's clipboard and Randy's badge still ruled. Jason, our Special Forces son, was a quiet storm. Every night, he was on his laptop, cross-referencing Karen's fines with county laws. He found her streetlight cameras, installed without a vote, violated state privacy laws. He saved her threatening emails, like one warning us to cease subversive behavior or face legal consequences. His dossier, now 60 pages, included bylaws, receipts, and neighbor complaints. But Jason knew paperwork wasn't enough. Red Maple needed a symbol, something to rally behind. Enter Operation Hummingbird Havoc, his first tactical strike. The plan was simple but diabolical. Mrs. Lennox's bird bath, a chipped concrete relic her son built before dying in Iraq, was Karen's obsession. She'd find it 27 times, calling it unsanitary. Jason saw an opportunity. He rigged the bird bath with a waterproof Bluetooth speaker, hidden under a fake rock, programmed to play hawk calls. Sharp, piercing shrieks that'd spook any dog. Muffin, Karen's schnauzer, was the target. Jason spent a night in our garage, tweaking the speaker with a neighbor kid, Timmy, 16, a tech whiz who'd joined the X group. "This'll make Muffin lose it," Timmy grinned, soldering wires. Jason nodded, his Special Forces precision at work. The operation launched on July 10th, a muggy morning. Karen's golf cart rolled by at 7 a.m., Muffin in tow. Jason, on the porch with coffee, hit the remote. The hawk calls erupted, shrill, predatory screeches echoing across Red Maple. Muffin went berserk, yapping, spinning, and bolting into Karen's azaleas. Karen, visor askew, chased her, tripping over a sprinkler and landing in a flower bed, her clipboard flying. I watched from the kitchen, stifling a laugh. Frank, on the porch, snorted, "That's my boy." Mrs. Lennox, peering through her blinds, clapped, her first smile in months. Neighbors spilled onto their lawns, phones out. Mrs. Hart live-streamed it to the X group. Hummingbird Havoc hits Karen. Hashtag Red Maple Rebel. The video, showing Karen's muddy yoga pants and Muffin's chaos, hit 3,000 views in hours. Memes exploded. Karen's fall as a WWE takedown, Muffin as a hawk attack survivor. Comments roared, "Best prank ever." Karen's done. Hummingbird General strikes. The post got 1,200 likes, and Red Maple laughed. Loud, free laughter, the kind we hadn't heard in years. Karen was livid. She stormed to Mrs. Lennox's, accusing her of animal cruelty and fining her $500. Mrs. Lennox, frail but defiant, said, "Talk to Jason, dear." Karen marched to our house, Randy trailing, his badge gleaming. "This is sabotage," she shrieked, waving her clipboard. Jason, leaning on the porch, sipped his coffee. "Ma'am, it's just birds. Nature's loud." Randy growled, "You're pushing it, kid." Jason's eyes flicked to the doorbell cam, still rolling. "Careful, deputy. Cameras don't lie." Karen's face twitched, but she left, Muffin's barks fading. The prank wasn't done. Jason upped the ante, reprogramming the speaker to play a midnight playlist, Sweet Home Alabama, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Happy Birthday, time to Karen's bedtime. On July 12th, at 2 a.m., Leonard Skinner blared, waking Karen Street. She stumbled out in a bathrobe, visorless, flashlight shaking. Muffin howled, neighbors laughed, and Mrs. Hart's X live stream, Karen vs. Skinnerd, #Hummingbird Havoc, hit 5,000 views. Memes multiplied. Karen's bathrobe as a rockstar cape, Muffin as a backup singer. The X group dubbed Jason the Hummingbird General and Red Maple's spirit sword. Karen called animal control, claiming feral birds were attacking Muffin. The officer, a burly guy named Dave, inspected the bird bath, found the speaker, and chuckled. "Nice tech," he said, winking at Jason. "No birds here, lady." He left, and Karen's face was a storm cloud. She fined us $1,000 for noise disruption, citing code 7.12. Jason added it to the dossier, now bulging with evidence. Karen's emails, Randy's vandalism videos, and Emily's whistleblower letter. Emily, 45, the former treasurer, had joined the fight, slipping Jason bank records of Karen's $15,000 in stipends, unapproved, illegal, and damning. Emily's story was key. She'd quit in 2022 after Karen bullied her for refusing to sign a $5,000 check to Karen's LLC, disguised as consulting fees. Karen spread rumors, calling Emily incompetent, and Emily, a single mom, left Red Maple in shame. Jason tracked her down via X, promising justice. "She stole from us," Emily said, handing over a USB drive. "Make her pay." Jason nodded, his dossier growing like a war plan. Neighbors rallied. The Johnsons shared photos of Karen digging up their roses at 3 a.m., later finding them for dead plants. The Harts had audio of Randy threatening to impound their flag. Mr. Jenkins, 80, gave Jason a 1960s HOA handbook, proving Karen's rules were new, not traditional. Secret meetings started at Mrs. Lennox's, 10 residents at first, then 25. Jason led, calm but commanding, outlining Karen's violations, illegal cameras, forged votes, embezzlement. "We don't yell," he said. "We document. And we win." Karen sensed the shift. She installed more cameras, now with motion sensors, aimed at our house, the Johnsons, and Mrs. Lennox's. She held an emergency HOA meeting, unannounced, passing a rule banning wildlife devices, including bird baths. It passed, 1-0, with her as the only voter. Jason appealed, citing bylaws. She denied it, fining us $2,000 for subversive behavior. The X group erupted. "Karen's losing it." #Hummingbird Havoc. A meme showed her visor as a tinfoil hat, captioned, "Clipboard Conspiracy." Red Maple was changing. Neighbors waved openly, shared coffee, and laughed at X memes. Mrs. Lennox baked Jason cookies, her bird bath now a rebel shrine. The Harts flew their flag higher, daring Karen to find them. Jason's dossier, now 80 pages, was a ticking bomb, and Operation Hummingbird Havoc was its fuse. Karen's empire was crumbling, and Red Maple was ready to rise. October 2023 in Red Maple Grove felt like a pressure cooker ready to blow. Karen Mitchell's tyranny had reached absurd heights after Operation Hummingbird Havoc left her schnauzer, Muffin, a yapping wreck, and her visor-covered ego bruised. The X memes, Karen vs. Skinnerd, Hummingbird Havoc hits Red Maple, had turned her into a local laughingstock, with 800 likes and counting. But instead of backing down, Karen doubled her bets, issuing a new bylaw banning unsanctioned gatherings to kill any spark of community joy. No block parties, no BBQs, no potlucks with those questionable casseroles. Red Maple wasn't a neighborhood. It was her fiefdom, and she ruled with a clipboard and a grudge. The Harts, a retired couple known for their epic Halloween bashes, weren't having it. Tom Hart, 67, a former firefighter with a laugh like a foghorn, and his wife, Linda, 65, who baked pies that could win wars, planned a neighborhood Halloween party to defy Karen's ban. They sent out invites, printed, not emailed, to avoid Karen's email snooping, promising costumes, a bonfire, and a live country band. The flyer read, "Red Maple rises, no clipboard required." Word spread like wildfire, and by October 30th, every house on our block was buzzing. Kids painted pumpkins, adults dusted off cowboy hats, and even Mrs. Lennox, 84, promised to show up as a witch, complete with a broom she could barely lift. Jason, our Special Forces son, saw the bash as a chance to rally the troops. He'd been building his dossier since the bird feeder gun incident in June, now a 90-page beast of emails, videos, and whistleblower notes from Emily, the former HOA treasurer. The Gungate X post from July, showing Randy pointing a pistol at Jason, had hit 1,200 likes, with comments like, "Hummingbird General for President." Jason's second bird feeder, a defiant middle finger to Karen's $300 fine, still hung on our oak, attracting blue jays and whispers of rebellion. But Karen wasn't done. On October 29th, she slapped the Hearts with a $1,000 fine for planned public nuisance, citing her new gathering ban. Randy upped the ante, patrolling their street in his cruiser, blasting his siren at midnight to scare kids carving pumpkins. The Halloween bash went ahead on October 31st, and Red Maple Grove transformed. The Hearts' yard was a sea of orange and black. Jack-o'-lanterns glowed, a bonfire crackled, and a local band, the Cul-de-sac Crooners, belted out Johnny Cash covers. Kids in superhero costumes chased each other, adults sipped cider in vampire capes, and Mrs. Lennox, true to her word, shuffled in with a pointy hat, cackling at her own shadow. I stood with Frank, my Navy vet husband, watching from the Hearts' porch, my heart swelling. For the first time in months, Red Maple felt alive. Jason, dressed as a low-key lumberjack, flannel and all, mingled, shaking hands, his eyes scanning like he was on a mission. He was planning something, I could tell. Karen and Randy crashed the party at 8 p.m., right as the band launched into Ring of Fire. Karen strode in, visor gleaming under string lights, muffin yapping like a possessed Furby. Randy followed, badge flashing, hand on his holster. "This is an unsanctioned gathering," Karen shouted, waving her clipboard. "Code 7.12 violation. Disperse or face fines." The band faltered, kids froze, and Tom Hart stepped forward, his firefighter bulk towering. "This is my property, Karen. Get out." Randy smirked, pulling a flashlight and shining it in Tom's face. "You want trouble, old man? I can call backup." Linda Hart, in a witch costume, grabbed a megaphone. "Backup? You're a part-time deputy, Randy. Go back to parking tickets." The crowd laughed, but tension crackled. Jason moved silently, phone recording, catching Randy's next move. He kicked over a row of jack-o'-lanterns, smashing them to pulp. Kids screamed, parents gasped, and Mrs. Lennox, clutching her broom, muttered, "That man's pure evil." Frank, who'd been quiet, stepped off the porch, his navy grit flaring. "You touch one more pumpkin, son, and you'll answer to me." Randy laughed, but his eyes flicked to Jason, who stood calm, filming, that terrifying Special Forces smile on his face. Karen, sensing a PR disaster, yanked Randy's arm. "We're issuing a $5,000 fine for community disruption," she barked, scribbling furiously. They stormed off, Muffin's barks echoing, but the damage was done. The bash resumed, but a shadow lingered. That night, Randy struck again. At 2 a.m., he cut the Hearts' power, plunging their house into darkness. Jason's hidden trail cam caught him red-handed, tampering with their breaker box. The X-post hit at dawn. Pumpkingate. Fake cop smashes kids' jack-o'-lanterns, cuts power. Hashtag Red Maple Rebel. It racked up 1,500 likes, with memes of Randy's face on a Grinch cartoon. Karen, furious, held an emergency HOA meeting, solo, as usual, passing a rule banning seasonal decorations without approval. It passed 1-0. She fined the Hearts another $2,000 for excessive lighting. Red Maple was on edge, but Jason saw an opportunity. He called a secret meeting at Mrs. Lennox's house on November 2nd, cramming 30 neighbors into her tiny living room, the air thick with coffee and defiance. The Johnsons, still stinging from Karen's rose bush fines, brought photos of Randy keying their car. Emily, the ex-treasurer, revealed Karen had borrowed $20,000 from HOA funds for an unpermitted backyard shed, labeled Community Enhancement, in doctored budgets. Mrs. Lennox, frail but fiery, waved a stack of her 27 birdbath citations. "I'm done paying her," she declared, earning cheers. Timmy, the 15-year-old who'd posted Gungate, offered to run an X campaign. Jason stood, quiet but commanding. "We're not just fighting fines. We're taking our neighborhood back. But we need to be smart." Enter Operation Llama Uprising. Jason had befriended a local farmer, Gus, who ran a petting zoo and owed Jason a favor for fixing his tractor. Gus lent a llama named Gizmo, a shaggy, 6-foot-tall goofball with a habit of spitting when annoyed. Jason built a temporary pen in our front yard, right on the property line with Karen's house, and hung a sign. HOA free llama kisses, free to good neighbors. Gizmo munched Karen's prized azaleas, his floppy ears twitching as kids petted him. The setup was genius. The pen was on our private lot, outside HOA rules, and the sign was pure bait. Jason rigged a motion sensor to play Happy Birthday whenever Karen or Muffin approached, driving them nuts. On November 5th, Gizmo went live. Neighbors flocked, kids giggling as Gizmo nibbled their apples. Mrs. Lennox brought carrots, calling Gizmo my new lawyer. The Hearts took selfies, Tom grinning in his firefighter hat. Even Emily, usually reserved, laughed as Gizmo spat at a passing car. Karen spotted it from her porch and lost it. She marched over, visor askew, Muffin yapping. "This is unauthorized livestock," she screamed, citing code 8.9. $2,000 fine. Jason, leaning on the fence, shrugged. "Private property, ma'am. Check your bylaws." The motion sensor kicked in, blaring Happy Birthday. Karen flinched, Muffin howled, and Timmy, filming, live-streamed it on X. Llama Uprising. Karen versus Gizmo. Hashtag Red Maple Rebel. It hit 2,000 views in hours, with memes of Gizmo's face captioned Llama Liberation League. Karen called the cops, claiming livestock endangerment. The officer, a grizzled vet named Pete, saw kids petting Gizmo and chuckled. "Looks like a petting zoo, lady. No laws broken." He took a selfie with Gizmo, posted it on X, and left. Karen, humiliated, held another solo meeting, banning exotic animals. It passed 1-0. She fined us $3,000 for community disruption. Jason added it to the dossier, now bulging with neighbor contributions. The Johnsons' car keying video, Emily's financial records, and Mrs. Lennox's citation stack. The uprising grew. Neighbors, inspired by Gizmo, got creative. The Hearts printed fake llama adoption flyers, taping them to Karen's mailbox. Timmy launched an X thread, Llama Liberation League, with daily Gizmo updates. Even Frank, usually stoic, joined in, building a mini Gizmo throne from scrap wood for kids to pose with. I watched, heart pounding, torn between fear of Randy's retaliation and pride in our rebellion. Karen's empire was cracking, but she wasn't out. Her next move, a desperate surveillance push, would set the stage for her final fall. By April 2024, Red Maple Grove was a powder keg. Operation Llama Uprising had turned Gizmo into a folk hero, with X posts like Llama Liberation League hitting 3,000 likes and memes of Karen's visor on a llama's head. Karen Mitchell, humiliated but unbowed, fought back with her last weapon, surveillance. She installed 6 new cameras on HOA streetlights, claiming vandalism prevention, but they pointed only at rebel houses. Ours, the Hearts, the Johnsons, and Mrs. Lennox's. The move backfired. Jason, ever the Special Forces tactician, had filed a restraining order against Randy after the gun incident, and the cameras violated it by targeting our property. He added the footage to his dossier, now a 120-page legal nuke. The county scheduled a hearing for April 15, 2024, at the town library's auditorium, a squat brick building usually reserved for book clubs. Word spread, and Red Maple showed up in force. Over 100 residents, spilling into folding chairs, clutching printouts, photos, and even Mrs. Lennox's chipped birdbath, hauled in as evidence. Karen arrived in pearls and a pastel blazer. No lawyer, convinced she could charm her way out. Big mistake. Jason, in a crisp flannel, sat front row, his dossier in a black binder, looking like a general before battle. I sat beside Frank, my heart in my throat, torn between fear of Karen's wrath and hope for justice. The auditorium buzzed with tension. The panel, 3 county officials, led by a no-nonsense lawyer named Ms. Carter, called the meeting to order. Karen took the podium first, her voice sugary. "I've dedicated years to Red Maple's beauty," she said, clutching her clipboard. "These complaints are from a vocal minority, led by a disruptive veteran." She pointed at Jason, who didn't blink. The crowd murmured, and Ms. Carter raised an eyebrow. "Evidence, Ms. Mitchell?" Karen stammered, offering only her rulebook, dog-eared and highlighted. Jason stood, calm as a still lake, and handed Ms. Carter his dossier, labeled Chronology of HOA Abuse, Red Maple Grove, 2021 to 2024. He spoke, voice steady. "This isn't about one family. It's about a neighborhood held hostage." He walked the panel through the binder, 120 pages of emails, photos, videos, and whistleblower notes. He played a montage on a projector, patched together by Timmy. Randy keying the Johnsons' car, Karen digging up their roses, Randy smashing Hart's pumpkins, and the Gungate clip, Randy pointing a gun at Jason, caught on 3 cameras. The crowd gasped, Mrs. Lennox clutching her witch hat from Halloween. Neighbor testimonies sealed the deal. The Johnsons, voice shaking, showed footage of Karen's rose vandalism, fined as dead plants. Emily, the ex-treasurer, presented bank records, $25,000 in unapproved stipends to Karen's LLC, $20,000 for her illegal shed, and $10,000 for cameras without a vote. Mrs. Lennox, frail but fierce, held up her 27 birdbath citations, her voice cracking. "I paid until I couldn't, just to keep peace." Timmy, barely 15, read a letter from absent neighbors, signed by 40 households, demanding Karen's removal. The room roared approval, and Karen's pearls seemed to choke her. The final blow was Jason's closer. He played audio of Karen at a board meeting, her alone, voting herself a raise via forged proxies. Then he showed the Gungate restraining order, violated by Randy's presence at our house, and the cameras. "I fought for freedom overseas," Jason said, eyes on the panel. "I didn't come home to let a clipboard tell my mom what birds she can feed." The room fell silent, even Ms. Carter pausing. Frank squeezed my hand, his Navy pride radiating. I fought tears, my fear melting into awe. The panel recessed for an hour, the auditorium humming with whispers. When they returned, Ms. Carter didn't mince words. "Karen Mitchell, you are removed as HOA president, effective immediately. Your actions, embezzlement, abuse of power, illegal surveillance, are referred to the district attorney." The crowd erupted, clapping, some yelling, "Free the bird feeders." Karen stood, face pale, and shouted, "You can't do this. I built this community." Tom Hart yelled back, "You built it on lies." Her clipboard slipped, hitting the floor. Nobody picked it up. Outside, real county deputies waited. Randy, who'd been lurking, was cuffed for violating the restraining order, his badge confiscated. Timmy live-streamed it on X. "Fake cop down. Hashtag Red Maple Rises." It hit 5,000 views, with memes of Randy's mirrored sunglasses on a crying emoji. Karen stormed out, pearls clacking, chased by shouts and Muffin's confused yaps. Red Maple was free, but Karen wasn't done. She'd try one last desperate move. In May 2024, Karen filed a $300,000 defamation lawsuit against the neighborhood, claiming Jason's smear campaign caused emotional distress and loss of leadership opportunities. The case landed in county court, a sterile room with a judge who looked done with life. Karen's lawyer, a greasy type named Vince, argued Jason edited videos to vilify her. Jason's pro bono attorney, a civil rights bulldog named Clara, dismantled them. She presented the dossier, unedited footage, and 30 neighbor affidavits. The Johnsons testified about their roses, Emily about the stipends, and Mrs. Lennox, wheeled in, called Karen a thief in yoga pants. The crowd chuckled, the judge didn't. Clara played the Gungate clip, Randy's gun steady, Jason's calm unshaken. "This isn't defamation," she said. "It's evidence." The judge, peering over glasses, dismissed the case with prejudice, no refiling. He ordered Karen to pay $20,000 in HOA legal fees, every cent she'd stolen in stipends, plus interest. Her bank account was frozen, her condo lease canceled, her LinkedIn page vanished overnight. X erupted. Karen's court catastrophe. Hashtag Red Maple Rises. with 4,000 likes and a meme of Karen's pearls as handcuffs. Red Maple celebrated with a block party on June 1st, 2024, the first in years. The Hearts yard overflowed. A country band played Merle Haggard, BBQ's smoked ribs, and kids raced with Gizmo, who wore a Red Maple hero bandana. Mrs. Lennox sat on a throne of hay bales, dubbed Queen of the Bird Bath, sipping lemonade. The Johnsons brought new roses, planted in defiance. Emily, now interim treasurer, announced new bylaws. No fines for bird feeders, gnomes, or flags, and trucks like Jason's F-250 were legal. Frank raised a second flagpole, flying a Navy banner beside the stars and stripes. I stood, tears falling, as neighbors hugged, laughed, and danced. Jason, ever quiet, grilled burgers, a rare smile breaking through. Karen fled to a no HOA trailer park 50 miles away, her name Poison. Ex-posts followed her. Visor vigilante spotted at Shady Pines. Hashtag Karen exiled, with 2,000 likes. Her shed was demolished, her cameras scrapped, her rulebook burned at the bonfire. Symbolically, of course. Red Maple bloomed, not just with lawns, but with bonds. Gizmo returned to Gus, but his pin stayed, a monument to rebellion. Jason's bird feeder hung proud, blue jays flocking, a quiet reminder of the war we'd won. And there you have it, folks, the epic saga of how a special forces vet, a spit-happy llama, and a neighborhood of fed-up retirees took down a fake HOA cop and a Karen who thought her clipboard was a crown. From Randy's gun-pointing blunder to Gizmo's azalea-munching uprising, from X-memes that lit up the internet to a hearing that sent Karen packing, Red Maple Grove proved that community beats control every time. This is HOA Karen Files, where we expose clipboard tyrants and cheer for the underdogs. Neighbors like you, fighting for your bird feeders, your flags, your freedom. Red Maple's story didn't end with Karen's exile. A new board, led by Emily and the Hearts, rewrote the bylaws to keep things simple. No fines for non-neutral hoses, no bans on gnomes, and definitely no cameras spying on your lawn. They started an annual block party, dubbed Gizmo Day, with BBQs, bands, and a petting zoo cameo from our favorite llama. Jason declined a board seat, saying he'd rather grill than govern. But his Hummingbird General nickname stuck, etched on a plaque by our bird feeder. Mrs. Lennox, now 85, got a new bird bath, funded by neighbors, with a sign, "Algae welcome." The Johnsons' roses bloomed brighter, the Hearts' flags flew higher, and Frank's Navy banner snapped in the breeze, a quiet salute to the fight we'd won. Karen? She's a ghost now, haunting a trailer park where ex-posts still mock her. Red Maple rises. Visor vigilante vanquished, with 1,000 likes and a meme of Muffin as a retired dictator's dog. Her legacy's a warning. Power loves a vacuum, but community fills it faster. Red Maple learned that the hard way, and we're stronger for it. I think about it sometimes, sitting on my porch, watching blue jays at Jason's feeder. Peace feels louder when you've fought for it, when you've faced a gun, a llama, and a 120-page dossier to keep it. What's your HOA nightmare? Drop it in the comments. We read every single one, and yours could star in our next HOA Karen Files video. Like this? Check out our X page for Gungate, memes, or Timmy's Llama Liberation thread. It's still growing. Here's a taste of what's coming. Grandpa's Barbecue Torches fake HOA cop. Karen runs. Hits next week, with more drama, more rebels, and maybe another animal sidekick. Smash that like button, share this with your neighbors, and subscribe to keep the cul-de-sac free from clipboard queens. Oh, and one last X-gem from a fan. My HOA banned my dog's bark. Help. Sound familiar? Comment below, and let's build a community that knows the difference between rules and egos. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the strongest weapon is a bird feeder, a llama, and a neighborhood that says, enough. HOA Karen and fake HOA cops banned my boat, so I locked their marina. Welcome to HOA Tyrant Takedowns, where we expose power-hungry HOA boards and celebrate homeowners who fight for their rights. Today's story is a masterclass in standing your ground. One man, a 40-year-old sailboat tied to his late father's memory, and a ruthless HOA president who thought she could bully him out of his home. When they ordered Michael Thornton to remove his boat from his private dock, they didn't expect him to uncover a legal bombshell. He owned the only access to their precious community marina. With a fence, a stack of documents, and a neighborhood fed up with tyranny, Michael turned their own game against them, exposing a land grab scheme and collapsing an HOA empire. Picture Clearwater Shores, Oregon, 2024, a lakeside haven where cedar homes hug the shores of Clearwater Lake, their docks bobbing with boats under golden sunsets. Michael, a 55-year-old retired Navy engineer, bought his lakefront craftsman after losing his father, hoping to heal by sailing the Legacy, a weathered sailboat his dad built. It wasn't just a boat. It was a lifeline to memories of late-night talks and lessons on the tiller. But the HOA, led by Elizabeth Carver, a real estate mogul with a smile as sharp as her blazer, had other plans. Her notices called the Legacy an eyesore, demanding its removal with $200 daily fines. Why? Because her husband's development firm wanted Michael's land for a luxury resort. What Elizabeth didn't know was that Michael wasn't just a grieving son. He was a meticulous engineer with a knack for reading fine print. When he discovered his property included the marina's only land access, he didn't negotiate. He built a fence, locked it, and watched Elizabeth's gala fundraiser crumble as VIPs stood stranded. Her husband's shady deals unraveled. The HOA's finances came under scrutiny, and Clearwater Shores learned what happens when you push a man too far. This is, HOA ordered me to remove my boat. So I fenced off their marina. A tale of legacy, leverage, and justice that'll leave you cheering. Drop your HOA horror in the comments. Like, subscribe, and let's dive into Clearwater Shores' fight for freedom. Clearwater Shores, March 2024, was a postcard of tranquility. 50 homes, mostly retirees and professionals, lined the horseshoe-shaped shore of Clearwater Lake, their lawns manicured, their docks gleaming under Oregon's spring sun. Michael Thornton, 55, had called it home for 2 years, a refuge after his father's death from cancer in 2021. A retired Navy engineer, Michael was reserved but respected, often seen polishing the Legacy, a 28-foot sloop his father, Richard, had built in the 1980s. The boat's teak deck and Navy hull weren't flashy, but Michael kept it pristine, a floating memorial to his dad's love for open water. The HOA, Clearwater Shores Association, had been benign under its old president, a laid-back vet named Carl. But in January 2024, Elizabeth Carver, 48, a real estate developer with a penchant for power, took over. Her campaign promised elevated standards and property value growth, buzzwords that hid her true goal, turning Clearwater Shores into a resort hub for her husband, Nathan Carver's firm. Michael paid little attention, too busy consulting on ship designs from his home office. That changed on March 15th, when a cream-colored envelope arrived, embossed with the HOA's logo. The notice was blunt. Your vessel, docked at 17 Shoreline Drive, violates Code 3.2, Aesthetic Standards for Watercraft. Remove within 30 days or face $200 daily fines. Michael reread it, stunned. Code 3.2? He'd studied the bylaws when he bought the house. No such rule existed. The Legacy was immaculate, its brass fittings gleaming, its sails neatly furled. He walked to his dock, the lake lapping softly, and inspected the boat. Nothing was amiss. Yet, as he scanned neighboring docks, he saw a rusted speedboat and an algae-covered pontoon, untouched by notices. Suspicion grew. Michael called his neighbor, Tom Reynolds, 68, a retired Coast Guard officer with a sharp mind and a sharper tongue. Tom confirmed, no notice for his battered skiff. Another neighbor, Sarah Ellis, 42, a tax attorney, reported the same for her neglected jet ski. Why target the Legacy? At the March HOA meeting, Michael raised the issue. Elizabeth, perched at the board table in a tailored blazer, smiled thinly. Mr. Thornton, your boat's age detracts from our modern aesthetic. We're curating a luxury image. When Michael pressed for the rule's origin, Nathan Carver, the treasurer and Elizabeth's husband, cut in. The board has discretion. Comply or pay. The room stirred. Sarah whispered to Michael, they're up to something. My friend got a similar notice before selling to Nathan's firm. That night, an ex-post appeared. Clearwater HOA targets old boat. New rules? Hashtag HOA tyranny. It got 300 likes, hinting at unrest. Michael, staring at the Legacy's silhouette against the moonlit lake, felt a resolve harden. This wasn't about aesthetics, it was personal. By April, Elizabeth's notices escalated. A second letter threatened liens if the legacy wasn't removed by May 1st. Michael, now combing through HOA records, found no mention of Code 3.2 or aesthetic standards for boats. He consulted Sarah, who uncovered a pattern. 5 lakefront owners had sold to Nathan's firm, Carver Lakefront LLC. After HOA harassment, fines for fences, sheds, even flower beds. Each sold below market. Their lots now slated for condos in a Clearwater resort, plan Nathan pitched to investors. Michael's anger grew, but he stayed methodical. He revisited his property deed, a habit from his Navy days of triple-checking specs. Late one night, poring over surveys, he spotted a discrepancy. His 1.2-acre lot included a 50-foot strip of land, the only path connecting Clearwater Shore's main road to the community marina, a U-shaped dock with 15 slips, the HOA's crown jewel. A 1990s survey error had mislabeled it as common area, but county records confirmed. Michael owned it. No easement granted. He called Sarah, who reviewed the documents. "This is a gold mine, Michael," she said. "The HOA's been trespassing for decades. You could block the marina legally." Michael hesitated. Cutting off access would hurt neighbors, not just Elizabeth. But as a third notice arrived, threatening to tow the legacy at his expense, he saw no choice. He hired a surveyor, Linda Harper, who verified the boundary. Armed with proof, Michael devised a plan: assert his rights, not with words, but with steel. He contacted a fencing company, scheduling installation for May 14th, the day before Elizabeth's Marina Gala, a fundraiser for her husband's county council campaign, expecting 200 guests, including local elites. Michael drafted a letter to the HOA, stating his intent to secure his property, but held it for maximum impact. An ex-post by Tom, "Marina Access at Risk?" Hashtag Clearwater HOA. Got 500 likes, fueling whispers. Elizabeth, unaware, sent a final notice: remove boat by May 10th, or face legal action. Michael filed it in his growing dossier, his Navy precision guiding every step. May 14th, 2024, broke over Clearwater Shores with a clarity that felt almost prophetic. The lake mirrored a cloudless Oregon sky, its surface unbroken except for the gentle ripple from a pair of mallards gliding near Michael Thornton's dock. The Legacy, his father's 28-foot sloop, rocked softly, its Navy hull catching the morning light, a quiet defiance against the HOA's relentless notices. Michael, a 55-year-old retired Navy engineer, had spent weeks preparing for this day. His discovery, that his 1.2-acre lakefront property included the only land access to the community marina, had shifted the battle from defense to offense. Today he'd assert his rights, not with words, but with cedar and steel. At 5:45 a.m., Pacific Fencing's trucks rolled into Michael's driveway, their engines hushed to avoid waking neighbors. Michael had chosen a crew from a neighboring county, wary of local ties to Elizabeth Carver, the HOA president whose real estate empire depended on controlling Clearwater Shores. The foreman, Rachel Nguyen, a wiry woman with 20 years of experience, reviewed the surveyor's markers with Michael. "You sure about this?" she asked, eyeing the path to the marina, a 50-foot strip of gravel and grass that every resident used. Michael nodded, his face set. "It's my land. They left me no choice." By 6:30, the crew was driving 6-foot cedar posts into the ground, each thud echoing like a gavel. The fence's path was precise, following the surveyor's stakes, which cut directly across the marina access. Michael watched from his deck, coffee cooling in his hand, his heart a mix of resolve and unease. Blocking the marina would affect neighbors, good people like Tom Reynolds, the retired Coast Guard officer, or Sarah Ellis, the tax attorney who'd become his ally. But Elizabeth's notices, now threatening to tow the legacy at his expense, had crossed a line. This wasn't just about a boat. It was about his home, his father's memory, and a community under siege. At 7:15, the first neighbors noticed. Martha Cole, 72, a retired librarian with a penchant for early walks, paused, her terrier yapping. "Michael, what's going on?" she called. He walked over, surveyor's report in hand. "I own this path, Martha. The HOA's been using it without permission. I'm securing my property." She frowned, glancing at the legacy. Because of your boat? Michael nodded. They want my land. This is my stand. Martha's eyes softened. Your dad would be proud. She walked on, but her words lingered, grounding Michael's resolve. By 8 o'clock, the fence's skeleton was unmistakable, posts marching across the path like sentinels. A crowd gathered, retirees, young families, even kids on bikes. Tom Reynolds arrived, thermos in hand, his Coast Guard cap tilted. Bold move, Thornton, he said, grinning. Elizabeth's gonna lose her mind. Michael handed him the survey. Tom whistled. You're sitting on dynamite. He pulled out his phone, posting to X. Marina Gate begins. Clearwater HOA's path fenced off. Hashtag HOA tyranny. It hit 600 likes in an hour, with comments like, Get M, Navy guy, and who owns the marina now? At 8:50, Elizabeth Carver's BMW screeched to a halt, gravel spraying. She stormed toward Michael, her tailored blazer pristine, but her face a mask of fury. What is this vandalism? She shouted, gesturing at the workers hammering crossbeams. Michael, standing by a post, kept his voice even. No vandalism, Miss Carver. I'm securing my private property, as confirmed by county records. He offered the surveyor's report and his deed, but Elizabeth swatted them away. This is HOA land. You're sabotaging our gala tomorrow. Her voice carried, drawing more neighbors. Michael replied, The marina path is mine. No easement exists. Would you like to see the documents? Elizabeth's eyes narrowed. You're doing this over that relic of a boat. Michael's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm, a Navy discipline honed over decades. This is about my rights. Your notices, $200 a day, threats to tow my father's boat, forced my hand. Elizabeth dialed her phone, muttering about lawyers. Sarah Ellis, who joined the crowd, whispered to Michael, she's rattled. Nathan's gala is her big pitch to investors. The gala, set for May 15th, was Elizabeth's husband Nathan Carver's chance to woo county elites for his council campaign and his resort plan. Without marina access, it was doomed. At 10:20, a sheriff's cruiser pulled up, lights off. Deputy Maria Ruiz, a 15-year veteran with a no-nonsense air, stepped out. Elizabeth rushed over, pointing at the fence. Arrest him. He's blocking community property. Ruiz raised a hand, then approached Michael. Mind explaining? Michael handed her the deed, survey, and a letter he'd sent to the sheriff's office days prior, outlining his plan. Ruiz studied them, her eyes flicking to the stakes. This checks out, she said. County records confirm Mr. Thornton's ownership. No easement filed. Turning to Elizabeth, she added, This is a civil matter. Take it to court. Elizabeth's face drained of color, her phone slipping slightly in her hand. By noon, the fence was nearly complete. 6 feet tall, cedar gleaming, with a heavy steel gate across the marina path. Michael held the only key. Neighbors murmured, some shocked, others nodding approval. Paul Nguyen, 65, a widower who'd faced fines for his vintage Mustang, clapped Michael's shoulder. About time someone stood up. An ex-post by Sarah, Marina Gate, HOA's gala trapped. Hashtag Clearwater Rebel hit 1,500 likes, with memes of a padlocked marina captioned, Elizabeth's empire locked out. The crowd dispersed, but the air buzzed with anticipation. Tomorrow's gala, expecting 200 guests, would be a logistical nightmare. VIPs stranded unless they arrived by boat. That afternoon, Nathan Carver arrived, his suit rumpled, his usual charm replaced by panic. Michael, let's talk, he said, glancing at the gate. Drop the boat fines, no problem. Just open this for tomorrow. Michael, leaning against his dock, shook his head. This isn't about fines, Nathan. It's about your wife targeting my home for your resort plan. Nathan's eyes widened, but he recovered. That's absurd. Let's negotiate. Michael held firm. Acknowledge my ownership in writing, rescind all notices, and we'll talk easements after your gala. Nathan hesitated, then left, muttering about lawyers. By evening, Elizabeth sent a delegation. Nathan, board member Karen Lee, a soft-spoken accountant, and Judge Harold Baxter, a gala guest. They stood in Michael's living room, the legacy visible through the window. Michael laid out his dossier, 3 HOA notices, the survey, and Sarah's research on Carver Lakefront LLC's 5 lakefront purchases, all after similar fines. You wanted my land, Michael said, voice steady. I'm protecting it. Judge Baxter, brow furrowed, suggested a temporary unlock for the gala, citing its charity angle. Michael agreed, but only with a signed HOA letter admitting his ownership and voiding the legacy fines. Elizabeth, lips tight, signed, her pen scraping the paper like a blade. As they left, Tom posted on X, "Marinagate victory. HOA bows to Navy vet. Hashtag Clearwater rises." It hit 2,000 likes, with comments like, "Lock the tyrants out." Michael stood on his dock, the legacy's mast casting a shadow. He'd won the first battle, but Elizabeth's gala was just the opening salvo. The real fight, for Clearwater Shore's soul, was coming. The morning of May 15th, 2024, was tense in Clearwater Shores. The fence stood like a silent judge, its locked gate barring the marina where Elizabeth Carver's gala was set to unfold. Caterers, musicians, and decorators, expecting to set up via the path, milled about, confused. Elizabeth, in a silk dress and forced smile, ferried staff by boat from a neighbor's dock, but the optics were disastrous. Guests, including county councilors and developers, would face the same hurdle. An ex-post by a local reporter, "Clearwater Gala Chaos, Marina Locked. Hashtag Marinagate," hit 3,000 likes, with memes of Elizabeth rowing VIPs captioned, "HOA Queen's Titanic." Michael attended the gala briefly, a strategic move to gauge reactions. The marina, usually a jewel with its 15 slips and cedar pavilion, looked strained, boats overcrowded, guests whispering about the fence. Nathan Carver, sweating through his speech about community progress, avoided Michael's gaze. Investors, key to his Clearwater resort plan, exchanged skeptical looks. Michael left early, his dossier heavier with photos of the gala's disarray. Back home, he prepared for the real event. An emergency community meeting at 7 p.m., announced via flyers and X by Tom Reynolds. By 6:30, Michael's backyard was packed, 70 residents on folding chairs, facing the lake where the legacy floated, a symbol of defiance. Tom, in his Coast Guard cap, set up a projector. Sarah Ellis, laptop ready, stood beside Michael, whose dossier now spanned 80 pages. HOA notices, property records, LLC purchases, and financial discrepancies. The crowd, a mix of retirees like Martha Cole, young parents like the Wilsons, and widowers like Paul and Gwen, buzzed with anticipation. An X thread, "Clearwater HOA's land grab exposed. Hashtag Marinagate," posted by Sarah, was climbing to 4,000 likes. Michael began, voice steady but weighted with emotion. "This started with my father's boat, but it's bigger than me. The HOA, led by Elizabeth and Nathan Carver, has targeted us to seize our homes for a resort empire." He walked through the dossier, projecting documents. The survey showed his ownership of the marina path, unchallenged by easements. The notices, 3, escalating to tow threats, proved selective enforcement, as Tom's skiff and Sarah's jet ski went untouched. Sarah's research was damning. Carver Lakefront LLC, Nathan's firm, owned 6 lakefront lots, bought at 20% below market after HOA fines drove sales. Financial records, leaked by Karen Lee, showed $30,000 in HOA funds diverted to marina enhancements tied to Nathan's resort. Gasps rippled. Martha Cole, clutching her shawl, stood. "They fined me $2,000 for my vegetable garden last year. I nearly sold my home, my husband's dream." Her voice cracked, stirring the crowd. Paul and Gwen shared next, $5,000 in fines for my Mustang, parked in my own driveway. I thought I was alone. Rebecca Wilson, a single mom, fought tears. "They fined me $1,500 for my kids' bikes left out overnight. I'm barely making ends meet." Each story fueled anger, the crowd realizing their shared suffering wasn't random, it was a playbook. Karen Lee, the HOA secretary, stood, her hands trembling. "I questioned Elizabeth's spending, $10,000 for gala catering, $20,000 for consulting with no bids. She sidelined me. She produced bank statements showing transfers to Nathan's LLC, labeled community projects." The projector flashed a 2023 email from Elizabeth to Nathan, "Thornton's lot is key. Push harder." The crowd roared, some shouting, "Resign." An ex-post by Paul, HOA's secret resort plan. Hashtag Clearwater rises, hit 5,000 likes with memes of Nathan's suit as a land grabber's uniform. Tom took the floor, is Coast Guard authority commanding silence. This isn't governance, it's theft. I move for a no-confidence vote against Elizabeth and Nathan. Sarah seconded, and hands shot up, 65 for, 3 against. Elizabeth, who'd arrived late with Nathan, stood frozen, her silk dress out of place among the crowd's jeans and flannels. Nathan tried to interrupt. This is slander. But Martha snapped, sit down, Carver. The crowd cheered, a rare fire in her eyes. An interim board was elected. Tom as president, Sarah as vice president, Martha as treasurer, and 2 others, Paul and a teacher, Emily Chin. Their first act, rescind all pending fines from Michael's boat to Martha's garden. Their second, freeze HOA accounts for an independent audit, led by a Portland firm Sarah recommended. Michael offered to negotiate a marina easement, but only after the audit confirmed no further fraud. Elizabeth, humiliated, stormed out, Nathan trailing. An ex-post, Clearwater ousts HOA tyrants. Hashtag MarinaGate hit 6,000 likes, with a meme of the legacy captioned, the boat that broke the HOA. That night, Michael sat on his dock, the legacy's lines creaking. The community's rage had validated his fight, but Elizabeth's silence worried him. Bullies don't quit easily. The audit, the interim board, and the X-Storm were weapons, but the war wasn't over. Clearwater Shores was waking up, and Michael was its reluctant general. July 2024 marked a new dawn for Clearwater Shores. The interim board, led by Tom Reynolds, moved swiftly. The audit, completed by June 15th, was a bombshell. $48,000 in HOA funds misappropriated over 3 years, funneled to Nathan Carver's Carver Lakefront LLC for consulting, marina upgrades, and gala expenses. All without board votes. Elizabeth had forged signatures on 2 checks, a felony. The findings, presented at a June 20th meeting, drew 80 residents, their anger now a focused resolve. An ex-post, Clearwater HOA's $48,000 theft. Hashtag MarinaGate hit 8,000 likes, with memes of Elizabeth's blazer as a thief's cape. The board filed a civil lawsuit to recover the funds, backed by 75% of residents. Sarah Ellis, leveraging her tax law contacts, secured a pro bono attorney, Clara Nguyen, who specialized in HOA fraud. Clara also reported Elizabeth to Oregon's real estate agency, triggering a license review. Nathan faced a state bar probe for ethics violations, his law firm distancing itself. By July 1st, their lakefront home was listed, selling at a $150,000 loss to a family of teachers, the Morrisons, who joined the community sailing club. Michael's fence remained, a cedar monument to the fight, but he opened the gate daily, a gesture of goodwill. On June 25th, he signed a marina easement, $1 a year for HOA access, with clauses protecting his property rights in the legacy's dock. The agreement, drafted by Sarah, was approved by 90% of residents, a testament to trust rebuilt. The legacy became a community hub, Michael teaching kids to sail, their laughter echoing across the lake. Martha Cole, now treasurer, planted a new garden, free of fines. Paul Nguyen's Mustang gleamed in his driveway, unchallenged. Elizabeth fought back, filing a $200,000 defamation lawsuit against Michael and the interim board, claiming false accusations damaged her reputation. The case, heard in August 2024, was a rout. Clara presented the audit, Karen's bank statements, and Michael's dossier, now 100 pages. Neighbors testified, Martha on her garden, Paul on his car, Rebecca on her bikes. The judge, a stern woman named Evelyn Holt, dismissed the suit, ordering Elizabeth to pay $25,000 in legal fees. Her real estate license was revoked, Nathan's firm collapsed, and their LLC declared bankruptcy. An ex-post, Clearwater crushes HOA lawsuit. Hashtag MarinaGate hit 10,000 likes, with memes of Elizabeth's forged checks as jailbait. Clearwater Shores celebrated on July 4th with a block party, the biggest in years. The marina overflowed. 300 residents, a bluegrass band, BBQ smoking ribs, and kids racing with kites. The legacy led a boat parade, its new sails funded by neighbors billowing. Tom gave a speech, toasting Michael, to the man who fenced a marina and freed a community. Cheers erupted, Martha crowning Michael Admiral of Clearwater. An ex-post, Clearwater's Freedom Fest. Hashtag MarinaGate hit 12,000 likes, with a video of the parade captioned, "The lake is ours." The HOA rewrote its bylaws, mandating resident votes for rules, transparent budgets, and term limits. A new board, elected in September with 95% turnout, included Sarah, Emily, and a retiree, George Patel. They launched a community fund for dock repairs and scholarships, replacing Elizabeth's vanity projects. The marina hosted weekly cookouts, sailing regattas, and a fall concert, its pavilion packed. Property values rose 15%, not from resorts, but from Clearwater Shore's reputation as a community that fought and won. Elizabeth and Nathan fled to Seattle, their names toxic. Ex-posts followed. HOA Queen exiled. Hashtag Clearwater rises, with 9,000 likes and memes of their BMW as a getaway car. Their former home, now the Morrisons, flew an American flag beside a sailing pennant. Michael, sanding the Legacy's deck, felt his father's presence in the lake's breeze. The boat wasn't just a relic, it was a beacon, guiding Clearwater Shores to a future where no clipboard could steal their peace. A year later, May 2025, Michael stood at his dock, teaching a 10-year-old neighbor, Lily Morrison, to tie a bowline knot. The Legacy gleamed, its woodwork flawless. Across the lake, the marina buzzed with a regatta, residents cheering. Martha's garden bloomed, Paul's Mustang roared at a car show, and Sarah's new bylaws were a model for Oregon HOAs. An ex-post, Clearwater Shores, 1 year free. Hashtag MarinaGate, hit 15,000 likes, a testament to a community reborn. Michael looked at Lily, her eyes bright with the same wonder he'd felt at her age, sailing with his dad. The Legacy had saved more than a dock. It had saved a home, a memory, and a neighborhood soul. That's the story of how Michael Thornton, a Navy vet with a 40-year-old sailboat, took on a corrupt HOA and saved Clearwater Shores. From a single notice to a fence that stopped a gala, from ex-posts that sparked a rebellion to a community that reclaimed its soul, this is what happens when you stand for your legacy. HOA Tyrant Takedowns is proud to share these stories, real people, real rights, real victories. Clearwater Shores thrives today, with open docks, fair rules, and a marina buzzing with life. The Legacy sails on, a symbol of Michael's fight. What's your HOA battle? Comment below. We read every story, and yours could be next. Check our X for MarinaGate memes or join the thread at hashtag Clearwater Rises. Like, subscribe, and share to keep HOA tyrants on notice. Next week, Retirees Flagpole fights HOA. You won't believe the twist. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes, the smallest boat casts the biggest wake.
Karen hires fake HOA cops, triggers Super Soaker chaos. Hey there, drama lovers! Welcome back to HOA Karen Files, the one and only place on YouTube where we dive headfirst into the most outrageous, laugh-out-loud stories of Karens gone wild. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join our crazy community. We're all about exposing the chaos of HOA tyrants, nosy neighbors, and suburban showdowns that'll leave you shook today. We've got a story so ridiculous, so over the top, it'll make your jaw drop. Picture this, a quiet, cookie-cutter suburban neighborhood called Sunny Hills, where every lawn is manicured to perfection, every mailbox is a dull shade of beige, and every neighbor secretly hates each other, the kind of place where you'd expect nothing more exciting than a heated debate over whose dog pooped on whose lawn. But oh my friends, Sunny Hills was about to become the stage for the most ridiculous, over-the-top drama this side of reality TV. A drama starring none other than Karen, yes, that Karen, and a pair of fake HOA cops who couldn't tell a badge from a bottle cap buckle up. Because this story has it all. A neon green water gun, a viral prank, and a plot twist that'll leave you cackling. Sunny Hills wasn't just a neighborhood, it was Karen's Kingdom Karen, with her bleach blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, and a permanent scowl ruled the Homeowners Association HOA with an iron fist. She was the kind of woman who'd measure your grass with a ruler and leave a passive-aggressive note if it was half an inch too long. Her driveway was spotless, her roses were award-winning, and her ego was bigger than the McMansion she lived in. To Karen, Sunny Hills was her personal fiefdom, and she was the queen. Every morning, Karen would stand on her porch sipping her overpriced latte, scanning the street for any sign of rebellion. A kid's bike left on the sidewalk. She'd report it. A neighbor's Christmas lights up past January 1st. She'd write a 500-word complaint to the HOA board. Karen didn't just enforce the rules, she was the rules. And woe betide anyone who dared challenge her authority. Enter Tim, the new guy on the block. Tim was everything Karen despised, young, carefree, and completely unbothered by HOA regulations. He moved into the house across the street, a modest two-story, with a slightly overgrown lawn that made Karen's eye twitch. Tim had a mischievous grin, a wardrobe of ironic t-shirts, and a knack for pushing buttons. From the moment he rolled into Sunny Hills in his beat-up pickup truck, Karen had him in her crosshairs. It all started with the mailbox. One sunny Saturday, Tim decided to give his boring beige mailbox a makeover. Armed with a can of neon orange spray paint, he transformed it into a glowing eyesore that could be seen from space. The neighbors whispered in awe or horror as the orange monstrosity took shape. Kids on bikes slowed down to gawk. Even the mailman did a double take. Karen, of course, was apoplectic. She stormed out of her house, her heels clicking furiously on the pavement, and planted herself in front of Tim's mailbox like a general facing an enemy fortress. "What is this abomination?" she shrieked, her voice echoing down the street. "This is a clear violation of HOA guidelines. Beige, gray, or white, those are the approved colors. Orange, are you trying to ruin our property values?" Tim, leaning against his porch railing with a can of soda, just grinned. "It's just a mailbox, Karen. Chill adds some personality to the place." "Chill," Karen sputtered, her face turning a shade of red that clashed horribly with her pink tracksuit. "This is my neighborhood, and I will not have it turned into a circus. You have 24 hours to fix this, or I'll make sure the HOA fines you into oblivion." Tim shrugged, unfazed. "Sure thing, Karen. Whatever you say." But Tim had no intention of complying. In fact, he was just getting started. The next morning, Karen woke up to a sight that nearly sent her latte flying out of her hand. There in Tim's front yard stood a neon pink plastic flamingo, its beady eyes staring defiantly at her house. It wasn't just one flamingo. It was the gaudiest, most obnoxious lawn ornament Karen had ever seen, complete with a tiny cowboy hat and a sign that read, "Flamingo Fiesta." Karen's scream could have shattered glass. Neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains, torn between amusement and fear. This wasn't just a violation. It was a declaration of war. She grabbed her phone and fired off a message to the HOA group chat, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "Emergency! Tim at 123. Sunny Lane has defaced our neighborhood with a pink flamingo. We must take immediate action." The chat exploded with replies, mostly from Karen's loyal minions, other HOA busybodies who live for her crusades. "Disgraceful! Unacceptable! We need to find him." But Tim wasn't done trolling. By noon, he'd added a second flamingo, this one wearing sunglasses. By evening, a third appeared, holding a tiny margarita glass. The flamingos were multiplying, and Karen was losing her mind. She marched to Tim's house, banging on his door like she was auditioning for a SWAT team. When Tim opened the door, still in his pajamas, Karen unleashed a tirade that could have been heard in the next county. "You think this is funny?" she bellowed, pointing at the flamingo trio. "This is a respectable neighborhood, not a tacky theme park. Remove those abominations right now, or I'll make sure you regret it." Tim, barely suppressing a laugh, leaned against the doorframe. "Karen, they're just flamingos. Lighten up. Maybe you should get one for your yard. Might help with that whole permanently angry vibe you've got going on." Karen's eyes narrowed to slits. "You've crossed a line, Tim. You'll see what happens when you mess with me." As she stormed back to her house, Karen knew she needed reinforcements. The HOA board was too slow, and the real police wouldn't care about flamingos. She needed someone who could strike fear into Tim's heart, and that's when she found them. Karen didn't trust Google. She preferred shady websites with names like HOA Enforcers for HireCom, where she stumbled upon Sunny Hills Security Solutions. The site promised elite HOA enforcement by trained professionals who could restore order to your neighborhood. The price? $50 for a premium intimidation package. Karen didn't blink. She PayPal'd the money and waited. The next afternoon, a golf cart sputtered into Sunny Hills, its sides emblazoned with a poorly painted HOA security logo. Behind the wheel was Bob, a wiry guy in his 40s with a fake mustache that looked like it was glued on with chewing gum. Riding shotgun was Jerry, a nervous 20-something who kept adjusting his dollar store badge. Both wore mismatched uniforms that screamed, "Costume Shop Clearance Sale." complete with plastic sunglasses and walkie-talkies that didn't work. Karen greeted them on her lawn, hands on her hips like a general inspecting her troops. "You're late," she snapped, "but I'll forgive it if you get that flamingo-loving freak to comply. His name's Tim, and he's at 123 Sunny Lane. I want those flamingos gone, and I want him scared." Bob, trying to sound authoritative, puffed out his chest. "Ma'am, we're the best in the biz. We'll have this Tim guy begging for mercy in no time." Jerry, less convinced, muttered under his breath, "Bob, you said this was just a prank gig. Nobody said anything about flamingos." "Shut up, Jerry," Bob hissed, then turned to Karen with a fake smile. "Lead the way, ma'am." As the trio approached Tim's house, neighbors began to gather, sensing a spectacle. Kids on bikes stopped to watch. Someone started a live stream on X. Tim, lounging on his porch with a lemonade, spotted the golf cart and raised an eyebrow. This was about to get good. Bob and Jerry climbed out of the cart, trying to look intimidating. Bob adjusted his fake badge, while Jerry clutched a toy gun, a bright orange plastic pistol that looked like it came from a Happy Meal. Karen, standing behind them, pointed at Tim's yard like she was directing an airstrike. "You!" Bob barked, pointing at Tim. "You're in violation of HOA Code 47B, Section 12. Unauthorized lawn decorations. Remove those flamingos immediately or face the consequences." Tim burst out laughing, nearly spilling his lemonade. "Who are you clowns, the HOA circus? And what's with the toy gun? You gonna squirt me to death?" Jerry, panicking, waved the toy gun nervously. "It's, real. Yeah, totally real. So, do what he says." Karen, fed up with their incompetence, shoved past Bob and Jerry. "This is my neighborhood, Tim, and I'm done playing nice. Those flamingos are a disgrace, and I'll do whatever it takes to get rid of them." Tim, still grinning, pulled out his phone and started filming. "Oh, this is gold. Keep going, Karen. My TikTok followers are gonna love this." The neighbors cheered, some chanting, "Flamingo! Flamingo!" Karen's face turned purple. Bob and Jerry exchanged worried glances, realizing they were in over their heads. But Karen wasn't done. Oh no, she was about to take this drama to a whole new level. Karen stormed back to her house, her heels clicking like a ticking time bomb. She was done with Bob and Jerry's bumbling. She was done with Tim's mockery. She was done with the entire neighborhood laughing at her. If she wanted to win this war, she'd have to do it herself. She rummaged through her garage, tossing aside old yoga mats and a dusty karaoke machine until she found it. Her son's neon green Super Soaker water gun, a monstrosity the size of a small bazooka. It was the kind of toy that could drench an entire birthday party in seconds. To Karen, it was the perfect weapon. She filled the Super Soaker with water, slung it over her shoulder, and marched back to Tim's house, looking like a suburban Rambo. The neighbors gasped. The kids on bikes dropped their jaws. Even Bob and Jerry, still loitering by their golf cart, did a double take. "Ma'am, what are you doing?" Bob yelped, his fake mustache falling off in the chaos. "I'm taking care of this." "Anyway," Karen snapped, brandishing the water gun. "Tim, this is your last warning. Remove those flamingos or I'll blast them to kingdom come." Tim, now doubled over with laughter, could barely speak. "Karen, that's a water gun. Are you serious right now? You're gonna fight flamingos with a Super Soaker?" The neighbors were losing it. Someone yelled, "Go, Karen, go!" just to egg her on another posted to X. "Super Soaker, Karen is my new hero." Driver, ho drama. Right, Tim's phone was still rolling, capturing every glorious second. Karen, oblivious to the ridicule, aimed the Super Soaker at the flamingos and pulled the trigger. A torrent of water shot out, but her aim was terrible. Instead of hitting the flamingos, she drenched Bob, who screamed like he'd been shot. Jerry, already halfway to the golf cart, shouted, "I quit, this ain't worth 20, and sped off, leaving Bob behind. The water gun misfired again, spraying Karen herself. Her blonde bob was now a soggy mess, her mascara running down her face. The neighbors roared with laughter. Tim, barely able to stand, narrated to his phone, "And here we have Super Soaker Karen, the terror of Sunny Hills, taking herself out with her own weapon." Karen, soaked and humiliated, dropped the super soaker and screamed, "This isn't over, Tim! I'll sue you! I'll sue everyone!" She stormed off, leaving a trail of water and dignity behind. The next morning, Sunny Hills was buzzing. Tim's TikTok video titled "Super Soaker Karen vs. the Flamingos" had gone viral, racking up 2 million views overnight. X was flooded with memes. Karen wielding her water gun like a movie villain, Bob's fake mustache floating in a puddle, Jerry's golf cart speeding into the sunset. The hashtag Dietrich Super Soaker Karen was trending, and Sunny Hills was officially famous. But here's the plot twist, and trust me, you didn't see this coming. Tim wasn't just a random neighbor with a penchant for neon paint. He was a professional prankster, a TikTok creator with a series called Trolling the HOA. The orange mailbox, the pink flamingos, the margarita-drinking lawn ornaments, all carefully planned to bait Karen into a meltdown of epic proportions. Tim had been studying Karen's HOA tyranny for weeks, knowing she'd take the bait. And boy, did she deliver. He'd even hired Bob and Jerry himself, paying them $100 to pose as fake HOA cops and escalate the drama. The toy gun, the golf cart, the terrible uniforms. It was all part of the act. Tim's goal wasn't just to annoy Karen, it was to create a viral masterpiece, and Karen had played her role perfectly. At a neighborhood barbecue the following weekend, Tim revealed the truth to a crowd of awestruck neighbors. "Y'all, I'm sorry for the chaos," he said, holding up his phone. "But I had to do it. Karen's been terrorizing this place for years, and I figured it was time to give her a taste of her own medicine. Plus, my TikTok needed some fresh content." The neighbors cheered, raising their beers to Tim, the mastermind. Someone even brought a new flamingo to the barbecue, this one wearing a tiny badge labeled HOA Sheriff. The crowd chanted, "Flamingo! Flamingo!" as Karen's reign of terror officially ended. Karen, meanwhile, was holed up in her McMansion, furiously typing complaints to the HOA board. But no one was listening. Her minions had abandoned her, too embarrassed to be associated with Super Soaker. Karen X users were merciless, turning her meltdown into a meme fest. One post read, "When you try to rule the HOA, but end up ruling the meme game instead, Trifoniu Super Soaker Karen, Bob and Jerry." They were long gone, probably back to their day jobs at a car wash or a hot dog stand. The golf cart was last seen abandoned in a ditch, its HOA security logo peeling off in the sun. Months later, Sunny Hills was a different place. The HOA relaxed its rules thanks to Tim's viral expose of Karen's absurdity. Neighbors started painting their mailboxes in wild colors. Purple, teal, even glittery gold flamingos popped up in yards across the street. A silent tribute to the prank that changed everything. Tim's TikTok channel skyrocketed to 500,000 followers, and he was already planning his next prank. As for Karen, she quietly put her house up for sale, unable to face the neighbors who now greeted her with knowing smirks. Rumor has it she moved to a condo in a gated community where she's currently terrorizing the pool committee. But the legend of Super Soaker Karen lives on. On X, her memes are immortal, shared by drama lovers and HOA haters alike. Kids in Sunny Hills still tell the story, whispering about the day a neon green water gun brought down a suburban tyrant. And somewhere, in a dusty garage, that Super Soaker sits, waiting for its next adventure. So, what's the moral of this story? Maybe it's that you shouldn't take yourself too seriously, or maybe it's that flamingos are the ultimate weapon against HOA tyranny. But one thing's for sure, never underestimate a prankster with a plan, a neighborhood with a sense of humor, and a Karen with a water gun. And there you have it, folks. The wild, wet, and totally unhinged tale of Super Soaker Karen. Wasn't that plot twist insane? If you laughed, gasped, or just shook your head at Karen's antics, do me a favor, smash that like button to let me know you're loving these stories. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a single Karen meltdown. Trust me, we've got plenty more drama coming your way on HOA Karen Files. Want to keep the fun going? Drop a comment below. Have you ever dealt with a Karen who went this wild? Or maybe you've got your own HOA horror story. Spill the tea, I'm all ears. Oh, and check out our playlist for more epic Karen tales, linked in the description. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video for another dose of suburban chaos. Stay dramatic, my friends.